Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We begin, of course, with the name of God, and the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. All praise and thanks belong to God, the Lord of the worlds. May peace, blessings, and prayers be upon Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, and all of God's prophets and messengers. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, friends, supporters, good evening. My name is Edward Ahmed Mitchell. I am the Deputy Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations, America's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight for a night of empowerment. This is CAIR's annual fundraising telethon. And although it's happening much differently than we expected, given present circumstances, we are so happy that we were able to do this tonight and so happy that you are joining us this evening. As you know, CAIR has been around for 25 years, and we want to, inshallah, stay around to continue serving, protecting, and empowering American Muslims. But that takes resources, that takes funds. And that's what we need your help for, inshallah. We need your help today to make sure that CAIR can continue to doing the work of serving, protecting, and empowering American Muslims, of striving for justice, of defending the Muslim community, of explaining Islam to our neighbors, of advocating for all manner of causes of justice, not just issues specifically related to the Muslim community. Tonight, inshallah, we have a very special program for you. You're going to hear and see the people who work behind the scenes at CAIR to keep our organization going. You're going to hear about the great work they're doing, the great work they want to do in the future, and what resources they need to do that work, inshallah. And then we hope that you will support us and help us reach our goal tonight. Our goal is to raise $150,000, inshallah. We are currently 30% of the way, 30% away from our Ramadan fundraising goal. And if we can hit that goal, then inshallah, our organization will be secure and able to keep helping you over the next year, inshallah. But we have got to hit that goal, inshallah. We're 30% away, $150,000. That is the goal tonight, inshallah. So please, we hope you enjoy this program. We hope you benefit from it. We hope you learn a lot. And please do not only donate, but make dua for all the people working, again, to serve, protect, and empower American Muslims. With that, I want to begin by welcoming the founder and national executive director of CAIR, Brother Nihad Awad, my friend and my mentor. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Nihad.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Brother Edward?
I'm great, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Great to be with you. Great to be with everyone, mashallah.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Brother Nihad, I just want you to start by welcoming our viewers, but also I think you've got some great news to share for us regarding a matching donation that will be coming to us tonight, inshallah.
Okay, so first of all, Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. And everyone who's watching, thank you for being with us. Thank you for staying with us, not only to hear from CAIR's leaders and CAIR's lawyers and CAIR's advocates how they defend the rights of American Muslims in every city and state of the United States, but at the same time, how CAIR projects the image of American Muslims by spreading information about Islam and the Muslim Americans, and how you can see that, Alhamdulillah, this has been changing because there is a plan, there is a strategy, there is a methodology, there is science, but also there is an organization like CAIR that has been doing this. And there is no organization similar to CAIR that serves American Muslims. We defend the rights of American Muslims in every state in the country. And also, we provide direct legal representation to American Muslims. And also, we engage the community nationwide. We train journalists, we train American Muslims, but also we train American Muslims in public advocacy, in monitoring the policies and work with their elected officials. We also train American Muslims, especially young people, on studying the important areas like journalism, law, filmmaking, and so on, because this is the way to empower American Muslims, to empower the Muslim community to tell their own story. And we are here because you have been supporting the CAIR throughout these years. So I'm very confident that, inshallah, today we will meet our goal because the Muslim community is very, very supportive, very generous when it comes to CAIR because they see that CAIR is serious and it gets things done. When someone defames Islam, people call CAIR and CAIR takes care of business. When people discriminate against members of the Muslim community, they call CAIR, and alhamdulillah, some people there, they pick up the phone and they help these individuals defend their rights. And all, obviously, CAIR files also lawsuits on behalf of American Muslims. All of our services are free of charge, and we are 100% community donated and community supported organization. So tonight, I welcome all of you to participate, to see this, share the link, make dua, support us generously. Consider CAIR coming to your homes, inshallah, with your dua. I'm getting actually the first phone call, and let me hear it because someone promised to do something. Hello? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I'm doing the telethon. We are live on Facebook.
I think we have our first donor on the phone, correct, Brother Nihad? MashaAllah.
Yeah, yes. Hold on. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. As I told you, I'm watching your telethon now, and really I want to thank you for the good work that CAIR does to help our community.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Hold on. Can you guys hear? Are you hearing it?
We can hear. We can hear him, Nihad. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. So this is a brother Ibrahim from Michigan. All mashallah, the community, they know brother Ibrahim from Michigan and what he does for the community. Brother Ibrahim, go ahead. Everybody is listening to you.
Yeah. As I was saying earlier, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank CAIR for the good work that the CAIR does to help our community. And also at the same time, I want to challenge the community today, if they can raise $50,000 in the next 1 hour, I and a friend of mine, Dr. Arman, will match with another $50,000 to support the good work that you're doing.
MashaAllah.
So if you can raise $50,000, we will match with another $50,000, inshallah.
MashaAllah. May Allah bless you and bless Dr. Arman. So Brother Ibrahim from Michigan is calling me. He's on the speakerphone. He said he and Dr. Arman, another friend of his and a great supporter of CAIR, they're pledging $50,000 if the Muslim community raises in the next hour the first $50,000, they are willing to match it. Jazakallah khair. This means a lot to me, to CAIR, to the community, those who are watching, and we truly appreciate generosity. And mashallah, you've been supporting the community for so many years, and may Allah bless you, reward you and your family, protect you, and multiply you in your wealth, in your blessings. Alhamdulillah, I'm just speechless. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Barakallah fik. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah, there you go. You have a big man there who's willing to match up to $50,000. So I ask everyone to do your best. Give the $5, give the $10, give the $100, and visit us at the website www.cair.com, or look at the screen, text to pledge, call the number there, and do your part. CAIR is doing its part to defend American Muslims, to make them proud of their heritage, of their deen. Make us proud by supporting us, inshallah.
That's great news. Great start to the program. I mean to all of your duas, and let's hit that mark, $50,000. So can we see the bottom right-hand corner? Can we take a look at the fundraising so everyone can see it visually? Where we need to hit the number. We're going to go from 0, inshallah, to 50,000 over the next hour. Inshallah, may Allah make it so. May Allah make it successful. Brother Nihad, I know you'll be back with us during the program several more times, so we look forward to hearing from you again. But for now, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. We say Bismillah with Allah's help, and name, inshallah, will succeed. Thank you.
Inshallah. So, Hamza, that's great news. So, again, we've got a matching donor. If we can raise up to $50,000 by 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, inshallah, he and his friend will match that. And then we will be literally almost to our goal, 150, 100,000 out of 150. So, before we get to that, it's time to start introducing you to the men and women of CAIR, the people who serve, protect, and advocate for you. I want to start by welcoming on the leader of our legal department, our National Litigation Director, Attorney Lena Masri. Lena is an experienced litigator, a great attorney who has won so many victories for so many people across our nation over the past several years, and we're so happy to have her here. Assalamu alaikum, Lena, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa alaikum assalam, Ramadan Kareem. I'm so excited. Inshallah, this will be a successful and blessed for us, and jazakumullah khair, everybody, for your support.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Lena, we wanted to have you on first to give us just an overview of what's the legal landscape that your department is facing. What's the legal landscape facing American Muslims? We've got some graphs that we can show, but first, just tell us in general, what does it look like out there? What kind of work are you confronting in terms of caseload, in terms of the type of cases we're dealing with? What's the landscape?
Because we are the country's largest Muslim organization, we receive a tremendous number of civil rights complaints that come in. We probably process anywhere between 150 to 200 complaints that we get on a monthly basis. The types of cases that we get change depending on the circumstances, and we develop our strategy and the types of litigation that we could be filing to challenge different types of policies and procedures based on the trends that we're monitoring, based on the types of cases that we're getting. So, during Ramadan, last time I called into this time, I had actually Skyped in from Alaska. I was there on an emergency flight. We filed a lawsuit on behalf of two inmates that were being held in a transitional facility there, and they had not been given any food during Ramadan. And as you can see from the numbers on the charts, is during Ramadan, the snapshot month of May, we receive an increase in prison cases that come in based on not being given meals. And since we filed that lawsuit, we secured a policy change throughout the entire state of Alaska. Right now, all Muslim inmates are mandated to receive nutritionally adequate meals, and they're also praying Salat Jama and daily Salah. They're leading their own prayers for the first time in Alaska history since then.
And I mean, that's one example, Lena, of the work that the legal department does. This is not theoretical. This is literally people having to choose between starving to death by not getting iftar or fasting in Ramadan, right? And you on the legal department were able to intervene all the way in Alaska and win that victory. Let's bring up the next image that we have kind of highlighting the work of your department. The first image, showed all this various types of bullying, education discrimination, employment discrimination, and we also see now they come from all over the country, right? We have wonderful CAIR chapters in many states, but if there's a state without a CAIR chapter, CAIR will go there, right, Lena? Whether that's Alaska, North Dakota, various states where we want to set up new CAIR chapters. In the meantime, though, we do that work. So tell me about that, the kind of national reach that your department has in terms of doing legal work.
We have very strong relationships with our chapters, and one of the goals that we have is to partner with our chapters, especially on cases that could have national impact. And when we partner with the chapters, we're combining essentially our legal teams, and that makes that much of a stronger challenge. It also provides us with a lot more flexibility to maneuver around the laws as the need arises. We're also responsible for all the states that don't have chapters yet, but that we're working on setting up chapters, Allah. And the third goal that we have is developing, strategic litigation to, change policy on a national level. Something worth highlighting is that, the approach we've taken as a national litigation team is not to handle each case as an isolated instance. It's important to understand the larger issue that's going on. Actually, the first organization to even make the connection that immigration delays, that banking issues, that issues with wire transfers, FBI interrogations, that all of these issues are all watch list related. And so where attorneys around the country have been on an individual basis to represent every client that has had immigration status delayed, we've taken those same clients and grouped them together, strong litigation strategies forward to compel a policy change. We were successful in getting the first ruling by a federal judge within the last few months that declared the watch list unconstitutional. We're building on that challenge or that victory that we had and filing more lawsuits around the country to expand it.
Yes.
But the rationale there is that we're able to resolve a lot of issues that the Muslim community is facing by tackling the issue at the root cause as opposed to just dealing with the symptoms of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's look at the final image we have there, and then Lena, we'll wrap up, and we're going to get into more detail about a few important cases that you all have worked on. And we're going to talk tonight with some of your staff attorneys about the issue of the so-called terrorist watch list, which has wreaked havoc on innocent communities, BDS, anti-BDS laws, employment discrimination, and school bullying. Those are the 4 topics we're going to focus on in detail, inshallah. So we're going to have next on a few attorneys that you work with very closely. But Lena, we want to just bring you in at the beginning so you can give that great overview, which we appreciate. Anything you want to leave us with before we get into the nitty gritty with Gadir and Zaina?
No, I have full faith in them, but Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much.
Wayaki, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lena, for having us, for joining us. All right, so you've heard just an overview of what we're facing. You saw a little taste of it. We've got cases relating from bullying, employment discrimination, education issues, the watch list. I mean, it's just this crazy hodgepodge of cases that come in the door, and it's also a very large number of cases. We've got a few more images that we can show you. Let's pull those up briefly. I think we've got one that shows the number of cases that we have coming in. We get literally over 100 complaints every month. That's just coming in, complaints in the door that we have to investigate. We have over 150 active cases right now, over 150 active cases around the country right now that are active that our legal department is dealing with. Chief among them are cases involving, as I mentioned, there you go. Let's go to the next one. That's the type of clients we get. Let's pull up the next one there and take a look. There we go. So this is 2019 so far. These numbers are rapidly changing. This is just kind of a snapshot of where they were a few months ago. But the key thing to note is over 100 requests for help per month, over 1,000 requests for help per year, over 150 active cases nationwide. So when you support CAIR, when you donate to CAIR, you are helping us to fight these battles in the court of law and the court of public opinion. You are helping us to serve all of these clients completely free of charge. We do not charge our clients a penny. We serve them and we fight for them because it is the right thing to do. And inshallah, may you get the reward for the work we do because you're the ones who donate. So again, let's start by talking about a few of these important cases, starting with the anti-BDS laws that we have been fighting around the country. We're going to play a short video and then welcome on our first guest to discuss this topic, inshallah. Let's go with the first video about the issue of BDS.
I want to preserve our First Amendment rights, our constitutional rights. These are rights that many people strive for all over the world.
Any anti-Israel policy is an anti-Texas policy.
from boycotts against British tea, to the Montgomery bus boycott, to boycotts against apartheid South Africa. The right of people and Americans to act in concert, to use their purchasing power to express themselves, is something that Americans have done time and time again.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So that was just a snapshot of a great victory that our legal team won in the state of Texas. Big role played by our senior litigation attorney, Gadir Abbas. Assalamu alaikum, Gadir. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm doing pretty good. I noticed from that video I had a little bit less facial hair at that pre-corona
mashallah
time.
You're rocking the sunnah. It's beautiful, mashallah. Mashallah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. May Allah allow it to keep growing. Alhamdulillah. So look, Gadir, we want to address this topic first, not necessarily because it's the most important. These are all important topics, but it's a great victory. It really shows the importance of CAIR, not only defending Muslims, but defending the Constitution, because this wasn't just about us or Palestinian human rights. This was about defending the right to free speech in America. Could a state fire someone because they refused to sign a loyalty oath to a foreign government? Can you tell us just a bit about the importance of this case? And then we'll bring on the woman herself, our guest clients, inshallah.
Yeah, I think that's a really important way of looking at it. You know, in the 60s and 70s and the 50s, there were civil rights battles that were waged, you know, by particular communities. The African American community fought to get the Civil Rights Act. One of those laws was Title VII, that today is used by Muslim women to wear hijab in the workplace, by brothers and sisters to pray at work. And it goes to show you that it's the obligation of every community to expand and reinvigorate the constitutional rights that we all have. And there is no greater threat now in the United States to free speech than this movement to outlaw and in some cases even criminalize activism on behalf of Palestine. And Bahia's case and Saqib's case are at the leading edge of the latest and the most important 21st century fight for free speech in the United States. And inshallah, you know, we'll succeed.
Absolutely. So, you know, you mentioned them. Great segue. Let's bring on our special guest clients, Bahia Amawi and Saqib Ali. These are two people who are impacted by these laws, and they called CAIR for help. Do we have both of them? Let's bring them on, inshallah. We've got a little glimpse of their stories already. Alhamdulillah, successful endings. But the fight is not over. We want to hear how they won this fight so that hopefully other people can benefit from it, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Bahia and Saqib. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm wonderful, alhamdulillah. Bahia, you move your camera a little bit to the right or left so we can see your whole smiling face, inshallah. We see part of it, alhamdulillah. Maybe your other left.
Right.
It's okay, folks at home. This is TV. It happens,
We're trying to work
mashallah.
out here we go.
We're trying to work it out. Alhamdulillah. All right. You work it out, inshallah. We can only see half your face, but you work on it, inshallah. And we'll get it started. And Saqib, assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing?
We're wonderful, wonderful. So look, Gadir, you want to take it away? I mean, I'm curious to hear from these clients, you know, how CAIR helped them in these cases. We know what the problem was. They were in danger of losing their jobs, being punished, you know, because they didn't want to sign a loyalty oath to a foreign government. Saqib, can you just briefly tell us, you know, how, you know, was CAIR able to help you in this case?
Yeah, it's quite an amazing story, actually. I live in Maryland. I'm a software engineer. I'm quite a good software engineer, actually. And in my state, the state of Maryland puts out these contracts for various things. The state of Maryland needs, you know, people to build buildings and to clean the buildings and collect tolls and all kinds of various and sundry things that the state government needs. And one of the things the state government needs is software engineers to run computer systems and collect data and such. So being a software engineer, I decided that I would like to apply for one of these contracts. But when I sought to fill out an application for one of these contracts, lo and behold, I found out that one of the things that they wanted me to do was promise not to boycott Israel as a condition for applying for one of these state of Maryland contracts. And it had absolutely nothing to do with the contract, and I wasn't going to sign such a loyalty oath. So I contacted CAIR, and these wonderful lawyers at CAIR told me that they were going to help me protect my rights. It was a completely unconstitutional infringement, and on my behalf, they've sued the governor of Maryland. And we've been engaged in this very intense legal fight for more than a year now. And it's a tough fight, and we hope to prevail. The thing is, it's very expensive to fight this fight. It's cost, if I was to hire lawyers to do this, it would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And there's no way I would have bought this lawsuit myself. I just can't afford to do it. But CAIR told me that they would fight this lawsuit for me for nothing, absolutely free of charge. So it's an amazing thing. How could I turn that down? And so I'm so thrilled and impressed and really indebted to CAIR for doing this for me. And for doing this for all Americans, really, when you think about it.
And Saqib, Hamza, thank you so much. I just want to know, you're not even indebted to CAIR. You're indebted to the people who support CAIR. Because, Hamza, we are simply tools of the people, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course the people who fund CAIR, the people who support us so we can do this work completely free of charge. Bahia, tell us your story briefly. You're in Texas. You're a speech pathologist. You're the only person who can do this job in your county to help kids in school who need your specialized skills, and you are fired. You lose your job because you won't sign a loyalty oath to a foreign government. You come to CAIR for help. Alhamdulillah, what happened? Tell us, kind of your experience, the happy ending, inshallah.
Well, alhamdulillah, I called, CAIR, my local CAIR chapter right away, and from them, it was an outpouring of support from different CAIR chapters, and a whole a level of unity I did not expect from CAIR, with CAIR National leading the effort and the team. And from there, I felt I was taken care of. There was nothing else I have to do. Everything was just a chain of actions, and I felt like, that I was in good hands. So alhamdulillah, I couldn't have done it without the help of CAIR.
Alhamdulillah. And you're back at work now?
I am. As of May of last year, of 2019, I was able to sign a new contract without the anti-BDS law. And I, subhanAllah, ever since I signed it, I was more busier than ever.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward you for the great work you're doing. And we'll note another thing, Gadir, can you tell us what happened with the case itself? We won the case at the district level, and then the state essentially, tell us what the state did to try to get out of this and why the fight continues.
Yeah, well, the law was no match for Bahia Amawi. So soon after Bahia filed the lawsuit, we were successful, and a judge froze the law, enjoined it, prevented the state of Texas from implementing it. Unfortunately, these laws in a lot of places have tremendous amounts of political support behind them. And so just in a few days after a judge froze this law in place, the Texas legislature amended the law so that it doesn't apply to single people, but it applies to companies with 10 or more employees. And so that law is something that is on the books right now, and something that we need to challenge. And it's the opposite problem of what Saqib faced in Maryland. Saqib helped lead on multiple years political campaigns, grassroots campaigns to prevent the Maryland legislature from passing anti-BDS legislation. And he was successful. And unfortunately, his reward and the activist reward in Maryland was this executive order that Saqib is suing now. And so it underscores the importance of interdisciplinary work. And I think that's something that CAIR does uniquely. In Bahia's case and in Saqib's case, it wasn't just, Bahia didn't just give it to us as lawyers and said goodbye. Bahia has told her story, has been an inspiration to the Muslim community across the country. And I don't think you see a lot of the subsequent lawsuits challenging anti-BDS laws without Bahia and Saqib's example. And so CAIR is indebted Absolutely. To them. We're all indebted to our supporters, and inshallah together we can continue the fight onward to strengthen not only our rights, but the rights of all Americans to enjoy the free speech that our Constitution provides us.
Absolutely. So, Gadir, Saqib, Bahia, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate you taking the time out, just a little while before iftar. May Allah accept Ramadan from you. May Allah grant you continued success. Saqib, may Allah grant us complete victory in the case for free speech, for Palestinian human rights, and for your right to do your job. And so I know CAIR will continue to stand with you, inshallah, and we hope the people will as well. So thank you all for joining us. Gadir, I know we're going to be bringing you back shortly, but for now we're going to say goodbye to you because we've got to get an update on how the fundraising is going, and I think we've got some great news. Alhamdulillah, it looks like we have raised $25,000, mashallah, so far. It's only 6:34 p.m. We're already halfway to our hourly goal of $50,000. And again, if we can hit $50,000, inshallah, we'll get a matching donation of $50,000. And then, hey, we can almost go home, inshallah. We're close to 150. I want to bring on now special guest, Imam Johari Abdul Malik. Many of you know him, a great activist, a great religious leader, and yes, a great fundraiser, mashallah, and a great friend of CAIR, and we're so happy to have him. Assalamu alaikum, Imam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Alhamdulillah, Edward, this is an amazing time. It's a challenging time, but alhamdulillah, it's a great time. I hear you talking about cases. Right? This case, and it's 1,000 cases, and probably more than 1,000 calls from people saying, can you help me? But alhamdulillah, I want to say that CAIR is more than cases. CAIR, C-A-I-R, really is caring, reaching out and caring for probably the most vulnerable people who live in our society, and the most important document to America, the Constitution. So I'm going to say to everyone who's listening now, we're in this fight together. Go to the website, cair.com/donate, and donate now. Text to 41444, and alhamdulillah, to protect your rights, the rights of our children, and the rights of this nation, that we might, alhamdulillah, defend, in this case, the rights of our world. This is a great opportunity. The hours of Ramadan are closing, and Allah has set up this month of Ramadan, subhanAllah, literally to be an opportunity for us to do the things that will draw us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm here.
Ameen. Alhamdulillah, and we're happy to have you here, Imam. So, inshallah, the Imam is going to be watching with us, and he'll be joining us intermittently to share updates on the progress and to give everyone a polite and helpful encouragement, inshallah, to help us serve the people, not just the cases, not just to win cases, but to help and serve the people, inshallah.
That's right.
Inshallah. All right, thank you, Imam. We'll talk to you again very soon, inshallah. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. All right, so let's continue, inshallah, with the program. So next, I want to invite on our next special guest, inshallah, CAIR National Staff Attorney, Zana Galawanji, and we're going to be talking about a very important topic, and that is a topic that our department, our legal department, has been addressing for a long time, and that's the issue of employment discrimination, specifically employment discrimination impacting Muslim women. Let's show a brief video outlining this work, and then let's bring on Attorney Galawanji.
I want to preserve our First Amendment rights, our constitutional rights. These are rights that many people strive for all over the world.
Any anti-Israel policy is an anti-Texas policy.
From boycotts against British tea, to the Montgomery bus boycott, to boycotts against apartheid South Africa. The right of people and Americans to act in concert, to use their purchasing power to express themselves, is something that Americans have done time and time again.
Check out the issue of employment discrimination, inshallah.
CAIR called in the media, setting up press conferences in front of the hotel and JCPenney. The result? Both women got apologies and their jobs back.
July, I came to work wearing my hijab, and I was told I couldn't work. I was told that the only way I could work in the detention center was as if I removed my hijab. This has been very hard for me and my family. I just want answers.
On June 2nd, her first day of work, she says an Air France supervisor pulled her from the training session, demanding she speak with the person who hired her at Aerotech.
He said that apparently Air France has an issue with the scarf and they will not allow me to work there with my scarf on because it violates their uniform policy.
Refusing to take it off, Osman says she left Dulles Airport in tears. Soon after, she contacted the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, for help. With the ongoing controversy in France about the legality of wearing a hijab, CAIR filed a complaint and sent a letter to Air France saying in part, quote, "It is clear that a discriminatory dress code implemented in France would not supersede American laws protecting the religious rights of employees. Air France must follow American law and grant reasonable religious accommodations for its employees," end quote.
All right, assalamu alaikum, everyone. So that was just a taste of a few of the cases CAIR has been handling for over 20 years. And many of these cases involve the people who are on the front lines of being Muslim in America, those who are visibly and noticeably Muslim. Many Muslim women who wear hijabs and other such clothing. We want to bring on Attorney Zala Galawanji, our wonderful CAIR National Staff attorney, to address this issue. Assalamu alaikum, Zaina. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Hamza. Thank you so much for joining us. So tell us about this issue of employment discrimination. How big of a role does this play in terms of the cases that CAIR National handles?
Yeah, absolutely. So employment discrimination actually makes up a large percentage of our caseload. We are receiving several complaints a month of individuals who are alleging discrimination at their place of work, whether it's denial of religious accommodations or harassment based on religion and national origin.
MashaAllah. And what about this specific issue of the hijab? Is that really as big, as common of an issue as, anecdotally we think it is?
You know, it really is. We would think that, you know, in this day and age, you know, hijab wouldn't be an issue at work, but we're finding every month that, you know, there are women across the country who are complaining that they've been discriminated against because of their hijab, that they're being told that they cannot wear hijab at work, or they're being harassed because they are wearing hijab.
Yeah. And so what CAIR does when someone calls us for help, we step in and we help them free of charge. I believe we start by often filing a complaint with the Employment Opportunity Commission. We put some public pressure. And alhamdulillah, you all have had some great successes in these cases. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So alhamdulillah, we've been very successful with these cases. We're often able to obtain settlements for our clients, which involve, you know, having the employer provide religious sensitivity trainings to make sure that these types of issues never happen again. We're able to get policy changes so that individuals can request religious accommodations at work. And oftentimes we're even able to get compensatory damages for our clients who are terminated, you know, without, for reasons that are not their own fault, because they were denied proper accommodations or because they were discriminated against.
Yes, and in fact, CAIR national attorneys over the past 2 years have won or obtained over $1 million in settlement funds for clients, over $1 million over the past 2 years. But more importantly, there are so many people, we can't even count how many people are now able to pray at work, able to wear hijab at work, able to grow a beard at work because of the work that Zaina and our other staff attorneys have been doing for these clients, again, free of charge. So when you donate to CAIR, you are not just helping an organization, you are helping people practice Islam freely, safely in America. Now, Zaina, the hijab issue, it's just, you know, one of many issues. And the one thing I want to note about this is that 20 years ago, you know, we highlighted the video of Macy's. A common issue was just a hijab anywhere. Now a major fight we're having is hijabs being worn in so-called security settings, like a youth facility or police officers. That's kind of the new wave of this fight. And so this litigation is going to keep going on, it looks like, for years to come. We are intent on fighting these battles and inshallah winning so that you can keep practicing Islam safely and securely in America, just for law like your daughters, your wives, your mothers, and for that matter, your sons, your brothers, and your fathers. So Zain, alhamdulillah, thank you for the update on that. Right now, I want to move to the next topic, inshallah, because we got a lot to talk about here briefly. But first, I want to give an update to everyone. Alhamdulillah, we've raised now, I believe, $27,200. So we're getting closer. We're getting close to the number. At the bottom of that screen, $2,459. Alhamdulillah. So we're getting closer. We're getting closer. But we got to get to that $50,000 mark by 7 o'clock. We're 14 minutes away. Please donate. It could be a small amount, a big amount. Help us get to that $50,000 number. And I'm going to ask our producers if you all can cue some of the slides that'll show people what their donations can pay for. The fact that they can give $50 to help us serve free of charge a client for an hour. They can donate $300 to help us serve 6 clients. They can donate $1,000, anything, big or small, and you can actually get some, inshallah, concrete results. So have those ready to show, and we'll bring those on in a minute. But first, let's talk about another major issue, and that is the watch list. There are so many people right now on the so-called terrorist watch list, American citizens, committed no crime, not even thought about committing a crime, and yet they are being spied on, harassed, banned from traveling because the government has this Orwellian watch list and they put their name on it. You've in fact got sometimes kids who are on this list. So let's bring on Zaina, let's bring back Gadir, and let's bring in our special guest to discuss this issue, a person who's been impacted by this, Mohammed Badawawi. Let's bring them on, inshallah, to discuss these issues of the watch list. Assalamu alaikum, Gadir, welcome back. Zaina, welcome back. And assalamu alaikum, Brother Mohammed. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Hamza, thank you so much. So start briefly, Brother Mohammed, telling us about your experience dealing with this issue of the watch list and how CAIR helped you.
Okay, before I start, I would like to thank CAIR for their service. And as I run an orphan organization, sometimes you pay $60, you don't feel it, but the other side feel it. Same for CAIR. You don't feel how important CAIR till when you need them. When you need them, you see it, how important for you and for everybody in America, especially for Muslims. My case is kind of a very strange case. And Brother Ghadir, thank you very much for your support. For 10 years, every time I have to go to, when I want to travel, I have to go to the airport, and they cannot print my boarding pass. They have to call the TSA. Sometimes I have to wait for 1 hour. Then they give me 4 S's. Then when I go to the security, they call supervisor, and then they say Muhammad Abadawi at the security point, and they ask me to go through 2 machines, not only 1 machine. And they pat me down, and sometimes it takes only for 1 bag 45 minutes to search it. Then when I go to board on the airplane, about 10, sometimes 14 security waiting for me just to search me again. And this is for about 10 years, and I travel almost every week. And what's strange sometimes, if I'm connecting flight, for example, I'm going from Kansas City, Chicago, New York. When I get out from my gate, sometimes they ask me to go out of the airport again to search. It was really, really pain. And I really thank CAIR how much effort to put this case. And this is not only for me, for every single Muslim citizen in this country.
Absolutely. So Ghadir, tell us about, I mean, the sad thing is this story is not unique. I think everyone watching has heard this story before, the dreaded 4 S's on your boarding pass. So how did this case end? How's it going? And have we had success with some other cases similar to this?
Sure. Well, Jazakallah khair, Mohammed, for joining us. And Mohammed is a plaintiff in CAIR's largest lawsuit, most important lawsuit to date, a lawsuit we filed in the District Court in Maryland. It's pending there, but because of Mohammed's leadership, the watch list is an equal opportunity employer for Muslims, not for everybody, but for Muslims, it affects taxi cab drivers and construction workers as often as it affects, computer science professors, community leaders, imams, organizational leaders. It affects everybody in the Muslim community. But when it affects a leader in our community, the consequences, the benefit of that leader stepping forward and fighting back against the watch list is greater, because it allows other folks to step forward and say, if that person can do it, inshallah, I have the wherewithal to do it as well. And so Mohammed was part of the first group of plaintiffs in that case. And mashallah, that case now has more than 40 Muslim Americans from across the country, and in fact, across the world, who are standing up, putting their names on the line, and fighting back against the watch list. And it's been an iterative process. There are some cases where you can file and get a result in 6 months and 8 months and maybe a year. But when you're tackling a key pillar of the post 9/11 national security state, this watch listing system, that takes many, many years. And CAIR's been at it for the better part of a decade, almost a decade, in fact. And we were blessed as a result of those years of efforts. Last fall, for the first time ever in any court anywhere, a federal judge declared the entirety of the watch list illegal. And that's a very important step. It's certainly not the end of the road, and it's already on appeal in the Fourth Circuit. But while the government is trying to roll back that significant win, we're also not sitting around, and we're committed to not placing all of our eggs in a single basket. One of the great strengths of CAIR's approach here is because it affects thousands upon thousands of Muslims, we think that the numbers are on our side. If that Muslim Americans keep on challenging the watch list, eventually it will fall.
Absolutely, inshallah. All right, well, thank you so much, Brother Mohammed, for joining us to briefly tell us your story. We thank you for your leadership in fighting this battle, because if you don't have people who are willing to stand up against injustice, the injustice remains, right? You've got to have clients who have standing, which means you've got to have someone willing to stand up and say, this is wrong, and I'm willing to fight.
Actually, I would like to thank Cher and Brother Ghadir especially. And he is a really smart person. I mean, the way he did it, he did not do it Muhammad against the government for my case. He changed the whole system, and hopefully the whole system going to be changed soon.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Mohammed. Inshallah, we'll be seeing you soon, hopefully in a victory celebration, inshallah. So finally, with the legal department, Zaina, Gadir, you two can stay, inshallah. We want to play the video about the last issue we're going to discuss, and that's perhaps the most distressing issue, and that's the issue of school bullying. Let's play that video, and then we'll talk about this issue and what CAIR is doing to fight it.
Well, when he was very little, he was very rambunctious. He started talking and walking early. Like, he was walking by like 6 months and saying full sentences by a year. He called himself a pacifist. He explained it to me as that he doesn't want to like harm people or things. And so I had to look it up, and then I went back to him. I said, but how does that work, like if they're harming you or if you like feel really strongly about something? After they found out that Jake was Muslim, they call him a terrorist. 9/11 was awful because he'd get called a terrorist, asked if he was whatever group was in the news at that time, whether it was the Taliban or ISIS or whatever. And this kid, while the bus is in motion, comes and starts beating up Jake. At some point, I guess he passed out from what other people have told me, other kids have told me. He had contusions all over his body, like his chest, his face, a couple on his back. He had hair pulled out of his head. I texted him to tell him that dinner is ready. He didn't answer. When I go out there, I find him hanging. People think that bullying just affects the one being bullied, but it affects everybody.
The Taylor's Falls mother is mourning the loss of her teenage son. She says he killed himself after kids bullied him over and over at his school.
The fact that my family has to live the rest of our life without him. And we were such an integral family, like we were so close.
We are going to be filing a lawsuit to hold the school district accountable for its actions that directly led to his suicide.
CAIR has done so much to confront the issue of bullying in our schools. Unfortunately, more than 60% of children have reported that they have been bullied in schools, either because of their status as a Muslim or perceived status as a Muslim.
Sorry, when I was muted. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's tragic, it's depressing, it's frustrating, it's infuriating. But alhamdulillah, this is what CAIR is here for, to handle even the worst type of case. Zaina, can you tell us a little bit more about what we're doing in this case and about this issue in general, school bullying, and what we're doing to address it?
Yeah, so, bullying cases, unfortunately, are not uncommon. CAIR receives so many complaints regarding school bullying. And sometimes those complaints that we get are really severe. It's not just kids being teased about their faith. Oftentimes our complaints can involve physical violence because kids are Muslim. The complaints often involve, schools who aren't taking proper action to defend children who are being bullied because of their faith. And so with these cases, we take an interdisciplinary approach. Depending on the case, we could take an advocacy type approach. If a case is more severe and, if a school is not willing to work with us, we'll think about things like litigation to help support families and, help prevent bullying and for future children, inshallah.
Absolutely. And in this particular case that you just heard about, I don't want to get ahead of the legal department, but inshallah, you'll be hearing, some important news about how we're handling this case very soon, inshallah, because we're not going to let this go. Schools have an obligation to protect their students. If you tell a school that a student is being viciously bullied, that school needs to step in and protect that child, not allow it to happen, much less in any way participate in it. So please be on the lookout for important news about that case and other cases. And I want to emphasize to the kids and the parents, if kids, if you're experiencing school bullying, don't just take it. Don't just ignore it. Tell someone about it. Tell your parents, tell the administrators. If the administrators are the problem, which happens often, too often, then, tell your parents and let them call CAIR for help. We are here to help address these issues. And we're going to be talking more about school bullying in a later segment with our research and advocacy director to talk about what they're doing to study and document this issue and fight it. Gadir, you want to add anything else on this topic before we wrap up on this issue?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm doing great.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Good. So look, we want to say to Faith, Jacob's mother, we are so sorry for your loss. May Allah comfort you. May Allah grant you relief. May Allah grant you justice. And may Allah, just make this as easy as possible for you. And may Allah allow the work.
Inshallah, the work that you do, Faith, in fighting back and fighting in your son's memory will carry the day and make it easier for Muslim students across the country, everywhere, in schools throughout the Muslim community, get their education without suffering from the scourge of bullying that unfortunately affects all too many families in the Muslim community. And I think we're going to get Edward back in just a few minutes. And while we're waiting for Edward to come back, let me just tell you a little bit about some of the other things that your funds go to support at CAIR. When you make a donation to CAIR National, you are not just making a donation for this case or that case. The CAIR team, the CAIR departments across the board fight religious discrimination in all its manifestations, whether that religious discrimination takes place in a prison in Alaska or a factory in Minnesota or a workplace in Delaware. CAIR has the capacity and the strength to fight back. And here to tell us a little bit more, I'm going to bring back Imam Johari. Imam Johari, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm with you, brother. As we look at the condition in America, every generation has had to fight to establish its place in America. And this time is our time. As an African American, we look back on the civil rights movement and we say that, it was a great time. And people marched together and we raised money together and we protested and we demonstrated. But the reality, it was tough times. But those tough times, we reap the benefits now. I'm going to ask you to go to the website, cair.com, look for the donate button and donate so that those who are on the front lines doing this work can do what they need to do. This civil rights battle is a different battle than the one in the 1960s. It is a battle now for us to use our organized people and our organized money in a way that hasn't been done before. You don't have to quit your job to support CAIR. You might be right now in a situation you don't know what your financial future is going to be, but you know that the fight for civil rights and civil liberties is going to continue. You want to make your way easy? Do something. Become a monthly subscriber to CAIR. Make a one-time donation so that tonight, alhamdulillah, we can reach our goal. We're getting close. I'm going to beg our matching donor to give us a few more minutes because we are at $35,000. We need another $15,000. That is 15 people who can call in and say, I can pay or pledge $1,000. $1,000 is less than $100 a month. It's about less than $25 a week. Go to your phone now and say, I can stand $25 a week, $100 a month from my cash flow, from my savings, to make a difference in the lives of not just Muslims in America, but all Americans. I think Dr. King knew during the period of the civil rights movement that what they were doing was going to have an impact greater than the condition of Black Americans. Those who were fighting in the labor movement, trying to get equal rights for workers, they knew that it would have a greater impact than just those who were unionized, that it would do something to change the baseline for people all across America. Right now, if you look on the slide, it's showing that to support one client, if you could donate $50, alhamdulillah, if you can contribute to the fund $100 or $300, or I see, alhamdulillah, if you can support the introductory work to receiving a call from a client, beginning to work on their case, go to your phone, to your computer, and do it now. Some of you may not be as tech savvy. You just want to dial 202-646-6045, or all of the internet access at your house is being all used up. Probably that's what happened over at Ahmed's house, that the internet is all used up. Everybody's online. So that so it's hard to get.
I told my family, stay off the internet. I told them.
Stay off.
I said I need all the bandwidth.
Unless you're donating to CAIR. Other than that,
there you go. There you go.
But I'm saying, brothers and sisters, let's do it now. We're in the closing hours of the month of Ramadan, and I've never been. I'm 63 years old, Ahmed. See the difference between my beard and yours?
MashaAllah. No, you sure you're not 49, pushing 50, Imam? Don't sell yourself down. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah for age. MashaAllah.
I'm good, Jake. It's good. I earned every single minute. I'm claiming it. But I'm saying to you, I have never heard Americans talk more as a people about the fragility of life until now. People looking and saying, so-and-so, they were healthy and they were fine today. And 2 or 3 days later, you say, wow, they're gone. I have someone I know in New York. I got a call and they said, oh, they rushed him to the hospital. He was hypoxic, kind of low oxygen. And a couple of days later, he was gone. The reality for Americans now is to say, you know what? We shouldn't wait until tomorrow to do what we need to do today. And what we need to do today on this telethon is to support CAIR. If we can get 15 people who say, I can pledge to CAIR $1,000, bi'idhnillah, we will meet our goal and we will be on our way in the next hour to achieve greater things and to learn more about the fantastic work that CAIR is doing on our behalf.
Absolutely, inshallah. Thank you so much, Imam. Jazakallah khairan. We're going to be seeing you again in our final hour, 8 o'clock hour, I believe. So we thank you so much for being with us, and please enjoy the rest of the show. And we'll be seeing you again soon, hopefully with higher numbers, even higher numbers, and even more education about the work of CAIR, inshallah.
I'm going to be standing on the side, Ahmed, and anything happens, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Maybe we'll bring you and Altaf Hussein on the same time and just have you do a double whammy, inshallah. We'll see. All right. All right. So thank you so much, Imam. Assalamu alaikum. All right, everyone. So it's the top of the hour. So we want to make sure that you are seeing the diversity of CAIR and hearing from all these wonderful, brilliant people we have in our organization. So I'm going to sign off shortly, and we're going to welcome on our next host for the second hour, Danette Zagari Mask, our nonprofit and compliance attorney. She'll be hosting the 7 o'clock hour, inshallah, with several special guests. So we're going to play a video highlighting the top 5 stories of CAIR so far in 2019. While that video is playing, we'll bring on our new host, and then we'll continue on with the program. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure being with you, and inshallah, I hope to see you again later in the evening. Assalamu alaikum, may peace be upon you.
Today we'll hear from one of the groups claiming victory after a federal judge's ruling about a Texas law. The law requires people contracting with the state to sign a pledge not to boycott Israel. But a federal judge ruled that unconstitutional yesterday. The judge who temporarily blocked the law says boycotts are protected by the First Amendment. Amawi and the local chapter for the Council on American Islamic Relations are set to discuss the ruling at 10 a.m. this morning.
Today, the terrorist has quoted the most powerful person in the world, President Trump. And I would like to address Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, your words matter. Your policies matter.
The anti-Muslim group Act for America is set to be holding an annual gala dinner at the club on November 7th. Act for America is the same group that held a nationwide march against Sharia back in 2017. That march attended by thousands of white supremacists. Tonight, the Council on American Islamic Relations saying it is totally inappropriate that an Islamophobic hate group would be in effect funneling money to the President of the United States.
A federal judge ruling the FBI's terror watch list violates the Constitution. This list allows the government to identify terrorists trying to get on planes or enter the U.S. Now, it includes over 1 million people, including 4,600 Americans.
We're here to announce Shaheen's lawsuit against Fast Track Management, a company that disregarded federal law and chose not to hire her because of her faith, as well as because she requested an accommodation to pray.
Assalamu alaikum to all of our viewers. Thank you for staying with us in Ramadan Kareem. I'm Danette Zagari Mask, your host for the second hour of CAIR's A Night of Empowerment, defending the rights of American Muslims. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank Brother Edward Mitchell, CAIR's Deputy Director, who just signed off. Thank you so much for sailing the ship. Brother Edward, I know you're watching. Inshallah, enjoy some much needed rest before your iftar. May it be blessed. We're getting up close to the stories which show how CAIR's mission is driven by professional experts day in and day out that transform lives. When community members face religious discrimination, they know that there's a strong advocacy organization behind them to fight for justice. So the strength of CAIR depends upon the support of the community. The community is you. Alhamdulillah, our community has supported CAIR for 25 years by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And so many lives have been impacted. Even our own constitutional system of democracy has been impacted by CAIR's work. I want to bring on right now Robert McCaw, who is CAIR's Government Affairs Department Director since 2011, mashallah. He has overseen CAIR's Muslim Civic Engagement Program and empowerment programs that bring American Muslim community concerns to Congress, the White House, and federal and state agencies. He also coordinates CAIR's national and state election activities, including Get Out the Vote campaigns and election surveys. And since 2015, he served as the U.S. Council of Muslim Organizations Steering Committee Chairman for the National Muslim Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill. Are you there, Robert? How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. I'm here. Thank you. That was a very nice introduction.
Great to see you. Well, I should say that we share the same alma mater, University of Florida, so go Gators. I really want, though, our viewers to know about how CAIR empowers our community through congressional engagement and Hill Days. Can you tell us more about the kind of national outreach that your department does to connect American Muslims to policymakers all across America?
You know, every day CAIR scans through software, through social media, through all sorts of programs. We scan what is happening in Congress, and we want to know what's happening in the House Homeland Security Committee, the Judiciary Committee, the Intelligence Committee, Foreign Affairs, Armed Services. We want the pulse of Congress. We want to connect Muslims to their elected officials in Congress. So whenever there's a policy development that could impact the Muslim community or could impact all Americans, and we believe that Muslims should have a voice in this matter, we make the Muslim community know about these issues. And that's through action alerts, policy fact sheets. These are through Twitter town halls in coalition with other advocacy partners. We are working every day to connect Muslims to their lawmakers, especially with these action alerts, these click and send action alerts. We make it so easy for Muslims to get informed and then get in contact with their members of Congress. And on the backside, when Muslims are talking to their members of Congress through CAIR, we can go to those congressional offices. We can see what's happening online. We can have really authentic conversations about your constituents are concerned. What are you doing to listen to them?
How do Hill Days work? That was one of my first introductions to CAIR it's been a while. I'm not going to age myself, but about 15 years ago, mashallah, I remember coming to Washington, D.C. and going with the CAIR contingent group of individuals and, you know, going right into the congressional office and talking to a representative about concerns from my state at the time, Florida. And I just walked away feeling really that I was heard, that I was empowered, and that before I came to CAIR, I really didn't know, even though I graduated law school, I'd never been through the experience of lobbying, you know, one of my Congress members. And it was really empowering. And I've really enjoyed Hill Days ever since that. Talk to us about how CAIR brings that resource to communities. And I really want you to talk about, if you can, the great work that we did recently in Kentucky.
Yeah, most definitely. So a Hill Day can happen at your local state capitol. It can happen at Congress, but it is bringing anyone of any community for a concerted reason, a policy agenda to get behind and to connect these constituents with their elected officials. And so for the National Muslim Advocacy Day, which started as a CAIR event and was expanded to almost every national Muslim organization through USCMO. It's an event that CAIR chairs through my office. Alhamdulillah, we get Muslims behind three issues. It's going to be a policy issue for the Muslim community, like the Muslim ban. It's going to be something for our ally communities, like addressing DACA or ending racial profiling. It's going to be something for the general welfare of America, and that could just be, as of most recently, supporting these federal aid packages related to coronavirus. But we get Muslims to Capitol Hill. We train them on their advocacy presentation. How do you speak with an elected official? How do you speak with their staff? How do you even find the office? What's the best way to conduct yourself during a meeting? How do you take turns? How do you make sure and follow up that they're actually listening to your concerns? So every year, CAIR trains thousands of Muslims across the country through local events at state capitals and in Congress on how do you meet with your elected representatives and how do you get them to listen to you. And in the end of the day, as much as it's about promoting these policy concerns, it's more about training Muslims, giving them these critical skills of advocacy, and having them make authentic connections with their elected officials. So next time this official, whether it's at the state capitol or Congress, is dealing with a matter that could impact the Muslim community, they're going to think, you know, I spoke with Aisha, I spoke with Mohammed, I spoke with Hamza, and, you know, these are my constituents. I don't want them to be impacted, and I don't want their phone calls or CAIR to keep on bugging me about my bad voting record. And so it's, you know, it's creating an environment where Muslims are empowered and they have these skills and the connections. And moving forward, you know, CAIR, because of our great advocacy with Muslims, bringing them to elected officials turn back to CAIR and they say, what are the things we should be listening to? What's going to make my Muslim constituent happy? And that makes CAIR happy, and that should make the Muslim community happy.
That's awesome, because CAIR can lobby, and we're really good at that. Up to, you know, certain our advocacy limits, and we make the best use of those resources. We're really great stewards of those resources. Tell us about what happened in Kentucky, because this is tell us what happened in Kentucky, because it highlights, first of all, how quickly we can mobilize these Hill Days with professional resources, and then also how really angry it makes some of the Islamophobes out there. Tell us about what happened there and how we persevered, mashallah, and really made a positive impact on the representatives there.
So, alhamdulillah, CAIR's chapter department was speaking with one of our new chapters in Kentucky, and they said, what do you want to do? And they see all our other CAIR chapters doing these amazing state capital days. And they said, we want to do that too. We want to bring Muslims to the state capital. And so last September, we started planning with them. We looked at the best practices of our whole network of CAIR chapters. How do we get the best inaugural Kentucky State Muslim Capital Day going on? And between September in January, we were able to plan the first state capital day event in Kentucky for Muslims, and there was over 175 Muslims that turned out. Over 100 Muslim school children from several Muslim schools turned out, and it was an all-day event where both Republicans and Democrats were, fighting to get a spot to speak in front of the Muslim constituents for this first state capital day, and let them know that, we stand with your community. We want to listen to your concerns. And at the same time, it was showing Muslim community members in a state that hasn't had a long history yet of Muslim advocacy at the state capitol that this is really easy to do. We set the agenda, we set the tone, and this is the new normal for the Kentucky Muslim community. We're connected to the state legislature. We had an amazing turnout. You had the turnout that sometimes you won't get or build up to for 2 or 3 years. Now, with that attention, a lot of Islamophobes in that state were also turned into what we were doing. And there were a number of anti-Muslim hate preachers that tried following us no matter where we went with a microphone, their First Amendment right, to say some really nasty Muslim things. We had the right to ignore them and just say it was a great day at the state capitol. Yeah. They actually, so this is really disheartening. The hate preachers were actually, and there was about 4 or 5 of them, they followed these Muslim children all the way to the school bus. And, I hate saying this, but we've seen, people spouting hateful things to minority children entering buses before in America history. Mm-hmm. And that's the point we are in the civil rights movement in America for Muslims, where our children can be attacked for getting on buses because we're teaching them to be, advocates for themselves. So yes, these children were being yelled at, hate preached at by these individuals, and I kind of stood between the children and the hate preachers, and I videotaped our conversation going back and forth, and I was just trying to take the attention away from the children onto me, and also document, record, and that's part of CAIR's job. We record these types of acts of hate so the rest of the world understands what Muslims are going through. And we called them out. We said it was bigoted. Thankfully, the kids got on the bus. The Hill Day for them was a day of advocacy and empowerment. This was a small speed bump. But what happened next is, CAIR with its media savvy, we packaged the video of what happened. We sent it to every news outlet in the state. It became a viral story in the state. Multiple outlets actually took CAIR's video. It was viewed over 1.5 million times when you add up all the aggregates of people that self-published our video. And for a moment, people saw not only the state capital day that Muslims were participating in, because they want to know why was this happening, but they saw the type of hate that Muslims encounter, but they also saw that Muslims would stand up and push back. And, so yeah. It was a day of empowerment.
That's really good news. I really enjoyed living through some of those moments with you. I want to take some time now to bring on a very special guest who's waiting to join us, Keith Ellison, Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. Is he with us? Hi, how are you? Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Kareem. He's frozen, I think. I didn't even know that he was going to be joining us right now, so it's really exciting for me. I'm hearing that we're going to get him back, so that's really good, because right now this hour is all about civic engagement, how CAIR brings power to communities through training our future leaders on civic engagement, getting those in our community directly involved in civic engagement through meeting their public officials, getting to the polls. We didn't even get to talk to Robert yet about how CAIR turns out the vote every single election cycle. Right now is the time to give. we are going through a time in history that other communities have been through, and they have done the same thing that we're doing now, that we started 25 years ago. CAIR's vision started 25 years ago to empower American Muslims to be involved in the civic engagement process. And here we are 25 years later. If you had told me 25 years ago that we would have Muslim public representatives, it would have been hard for me to believe when I first became Muslim over 2 decades ago. And here we are. There are so many that we can name. We're not a political organization, so we're not advocating for anyone in particular. We're a nonprofit charitable organization. So not advocating for anyone, but we can say that, you know, it's impressive that we have there are two women, Muslim congresswomen in the House right now. And who knows where the Muslim community will be in 25 years, right? Who knows where we'll be, but it takes step by step, engaging the community, teaching the community, making the community literate on civic engagement. And that requires your commitment and donation. So please, I hope that you will pick up the phone or text My Rights 41444 or CAIR.com/donate. I'm being told that Keith Ellison is back in the house. Is that true? Hi. You were giving me a little bit of a Assalamu alaikum. You were giving me a stern look earlier, so I was like, well, I didn't even say anything yet.
I just look like that.
Frozen. Assalamu alaikum. I am a huge fan, so I'm going to try to stay focused, okay? Since we're doing a telethon right now, but mashallah, I've been following your career for years and years, and I'm just so pleased to have you here tonight. Can you talk about, you've been familiar with CAIR for a long time, mashallah, and you've seen the impact of CAIR's work in our community. You know, what is really the power of having an organization to plug into for everyday Muslim Americans, an institution like CAIR, to plug into and benefit from?
Well, first of all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, everyone. Ramadan Mubarak to everybody. I can tell you that I remember when Nihad and Awad and I were friends at University of Minnesota campus many years ago. Both of us were in school. Both of us have grown up, had kids. They moved out, and we're still fighting for social justice and the right things. But I can tell you the essential nature of CAIR, the importance of CAIR, is that you have an advocacy group that will stand up and speak up on your behalf and fight for you. Absolutely everything I've done in politics has been in partnership with CAIR. And the reason that the far right and the Muslim haters are so active all the time is because they know how effective CAIR is. And so CAIR galvanizes Muslims, helps us formulate plans, helps us move out in ways that help the community, but even does more than that, in that it helps the entirety of the United States in America. And so CAIR is on the forefront for civil rights. When CAIR fights for civil rights for some, it actually expands and enlarges civil rights for all. There's something about CAIR's advocacy for Muslims that helps the Central American immigrants, that helps workers, that helps the environment, all kinds of things. I can tell you that CAIR in its local group in Minnesota is on the very front line of protecting workers who are in the Amazon plant and are fearful of the disease of COVID-19, as that local plant is not taking the proper precautions that it should to protect those workers. CAIR is on the front line saying, hey, what about workers' rights? What about safety? What about occupational safety? Now, we're not just locked into only articulating Muslim matters, but general matters of common concern. CAIR is on the front line. So I don't know, I hope that answers the question well enough. I'll say that CAIR is the indispensable organization and has been there from when the Muslim community was in a defensive crouch to now when we're able to open up our wings and do more organizing and get more people elected and file the proper lawsuits and fight for issues that are, of course, impact Muslims but are not exclusively Muslim issues, like immigration, workers' rights, and the environment.
Yeah, we care about it all, and we want our representatives to know, right? Which is why we do these trainings, which is why we bring Muslims to Capitol Hill. We hope to make it bigger and bigger every year, because it's great when our representatives understand that the Muslim constituency is large, it's educated, it's proactive, it's passionate. And that's one of CAIR's roles. And it's so great to have someone of your stature who recognizes that and who has benefited from the work that CAIR does to bring Muslim, again, civic engagement, literacy together. We don't tell you who to vote for. That's not our role at CAIR. You vote for whoever you want to vote for. Our interest is in making sure that you do vote, that you do take advantage of that opportunity, which is our democracy, that you know where to vote, and again, how important it is. And then once you do vote, once you do make that choice, where do you go from there on policy issues? How do you impact public policy? It's just wonderful to see you again, Keith Ellison. Really, having benefited from that and being here with us still. Really, I'm fangirling over here. Mashallah.
Well, I just want to say, support CAIR, donate to CAIR. You're not only ensuring your children's future, but you're also protecting your own present. And I could say that these are critical issues, and I'm just always glad to be on board, standing with my brothers and sisters at CAIR. So consider me an ally and a friend for life. You can't get rid of me. That's just the way it is.
We do not want to get rid of you. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless your Ramadan, inshallah, and let you have a blessed Eid with your family. It's under different circumstances that we're all going through, but inshallah, it will still be very blessed. Thank you for joining us.
We got about 2 more hours to go, so we'll be okay, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Barakallah feek. Good luck tonight. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to bring on Robert McCall, but before he does, you've heard from Keith Ellison, you've heard from somebody who's been in the political field for years and years, who's seen CAIR's work on the ground, understands the impact that we don't just say that we empower American Muslims. We really, really do, and we do it through your support. Again, CAIR exists because the community allows it to exist. The constant support of our community for 25 years has brought us to the point where we are today, this night of empowerment. I'd like for Robert McCall to come back on, because we want to talk a little bit more about what CAIR does behind the scenes. So, we see the headlines, from our social media feed to your social media feed. You see CAIR when it's on the news, where some people just know of CAIR because they see it on CNN and in major headlines. But there's a lot of work that we do, you specifically, Robert, behind the scenes in regards to keeping, I call them predatory policymakers, Islamophobes, anti-Muslim bigots, out of positions of power where they seek to harm our constitutional democracy. They have a particular penance for harming Muslims. And they're just not qualified to serve in those positions. And give us an example of where CAIR is really effective in raising the alarm.
Well, definitely. CAIR, as one of the most often quoted Muslim organizations in the United States, we get the ears of the media. We also get the ears of Congress, and we want to make sure that they're in tune to our concerns. So in the past several years, there's been 2 specific nominations we really had great success on. The first was that on the non-confirmation of Mark E. Green as Army Secretary. Back in 2017, Trump nominated Green to be the new Army Secretary. That is the top civilian officer, non-officer, top civilian in the Department of Defense, oversees everything in the Army. And this was the type of guy that would say, that's a great question at town halls when people claim that Muslims don't belong here, or he referred to Muslims as being part of a horde, and that there was an assault of Islam, or that teaching Islam to students in Tennessee would not be tolerated when he was a lawmaker in that state. And he had some misconceptions where he even was publicly claiming that Muslims don't believe Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, that he was born of a virgin. So very misinformed, anti-Muslim individual. he had a nomination that was going to the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee. CAIR continued to issue press releases about this individual and his anti-Muslim statements. Anytime the U.S. media mentioned Mark Green, they would also turn to CAIR statements as one of the laundry lists of issues that was with this guy and why he shouldn't serve in office. And thankfully, because of CAIR's pressure and the pressure of other advocacy groups, this individual was taken down. He could not become the next leader of the army as a civilian. And sadly, there's many more like him out there that would want these positions. So that's why CAIR is always keeping its eyes and ears open. There was the other case of Heather Nauert. Also in 2017, Trump nominated her, a former Fox News anchor, to be the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. And, Nauert, as a Fox News anchor, would have programs, that would say that swimming pool hours for Muslims was a form of stealth jihad if, Muslim women were given local time at the Y. Or that she would have, programs titled the stealth jihad, and she'd have hate group leaders, anti-Muslim hate group leaders, these bigots on as experts. These aren't people that the UN ambassador should be listening to or in touch with. And because of that, again, when her nomination was making its way to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, she couldn't get through. And it was, again, because of CAIR's criticism. It was also criticisms for the other issues that she brought up, other anti-minority statements, immigrant statements. But again, always when this was going through the news cycle, they would mention CAIR's take on this nominee. And whether it is with, with Green or Nauert, when these nominations are making their way to the Senate committees, CAIR is sending fact sheets. We're sending action alerts. We're empowering Muslims to click and send messages to their elected officials in the Senate and let them know that you need to speak up and you need to speak out against this nomination. And so we're continuing to empower Muslims to do the same. And right now, we're continuing a new campaign that just started several weeks ago, where Trump has nominated a former general, Anthony Tata, to the policy position in the Department of Defense. That's the number 3 job in the Pentagon. And this is a guy that says, on Fox News that there's an intent to harm Western society by Islam, and that it's a truism that needs to be built into the immigration policies, not only America, but the West. And when a guy's talking anti-Muslim policy, it doesn't surprise me that Trump wants to elevate him, but we have to work twice as hard. And so CAIR's already started digging down.
We're so outfunded, Robert. I wanted to point that out. You're talking about the amazing work that we've done just in your tenure, the milestones, right? I mean, we've made sure that notorious Islamophobes do not get in positions of policymaking, very powerful positions, and we're outfunded. Islamophobia is a multi-million-dollar industry, right? That's an understatement, right? It's a very lucrative industry. We're outfunded, but every dollar, subhanallah, every dollar that you give, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, somehow it magnifies, it multiplies, and we are able to do so much with it. So we have these successes, even though those on the other side, have so much arsenal. But because of your du'as, because of the intent, the niyat with which when you give, and the hard work that people like Robert do every day, devoting your careers. You could be so many places, Robert. You're so talented, mashallah. I see the work that you do every day. You would be in demand in many companies in many places. And I know there's headhunters out there that would want to attract you, but mashallah, you devote your career to CAIR because you really believe in the mission. Because of people like you, we're able to do what we do. We've reached, it looks like $85,000, mashallah. We still have a way to go. We want to get to $150,000. Robert, what could you do if your department had more funding? Tangibly, what are you not doing that you would like to be doing simply because the resources are not there right now?
I can easily answer that question. We are right now trying to hire more staff so we can get in contact with more elected officials, but we need the funds to hire those people. When you look at this election, we're spending money on buying voter data so we can reach out to the Muslims that vote and re-engage them and make sure they're voting this election. We're already making 145,000 automated phone calls that are reaching 600,000 Muslim registered voters in households across the country. But that's just landline. You know what I need? I need cell phone numbers, and that takes money. And not only does it take money to buy the numbers, it takes money to reach these people through peer-to-peer texting platforms where I can, just like a phone bank, get volunteers from across the country to log into a third-party app, which we also buy access to, so we can text these people George Jetson style, one at a time, and tell them they need to vote. And really, Muslim voter turnout is critical not only for this election, but every election. And we need the resources to be able to get in contact with Muslims. I could do tremendous ad buys targeting Muslims on social media with graphics saying, "You're Muslim, are you voting?" But, you know, it takes money to do that. There's really smart political campaigns that are doing this at the national level, organizing other communities to get just as engaged. It's up to CAIR, like-minded groups like CAIR, to get the Muslim vote out, but we need your support to do it. Are you going to help fund our work to make sure Muslims are voting this year?
So we don't lack the people power. We don't lack the intellect, right? We have all of the intellectual, throttle that we need to do this work. What we really need is even more of the support of our community. Mashallah, we're so grateful for, again, every dollar that has been given over the years. It's got us to this point. But if we want to go to the next level, and inshallah, we're going to the next level, it's going to take next level support. So please, right now, we are Zakat eligible, CAIR Zakat eligible because of the powerful work that we do, making a difference in the lives of Muslims every single day. Please text My Rights 41444 in order to donate. If you're everything is tied up, if there's no other way that you can reach us but by phone, 202-646-6045, or you're just tired of looking at a computer screen and you want to donate in an old-fashioned way, you can do that by phone. So we hope that you will take that opportunity. Again, we're here. The organization is here. Everything is ready to deploy in order to really empower our community, bring our community to the next level. What we need are the financial resources in order to make that dream a reality. MashaAllah. I want to bring is Abrar Omesh on? I know that she said she might be stopping by, but I don't know if she made it into the house yet. No, okay, she's not on. So I'd like to go ahead and bring on Robert back on, because there's Dr. Altaf is here. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Altaf is here and Robert is here. I'd like to go ahead and bring Dr. Altaf on. Thank you for letting me know. How are you today? Assalamu alaikum. Good to see you again.
I'm doing as best as we can in the circumstances. I'm hoping you can see and hear me.
We can see you and hear you. It's been my pleasure to meet you a number of times. Mashallah, you're always energetic. You always have a smile on your face, and you're always doing the good work for the community. I think Allah puts a lot of barakah in your time. Thank you for spending some of it with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, if you sense we're not too far away from iftar time on the East Coast, and then of course wherever you are, inshallah, you're doing your best to shelter in place. CAIR's work is not only important year-round, it's especially important during the pandemic, and as we come out of the pandemic, inshallah, very soon. We want you really in these last few nights to consider what can you do. Use the zakah that you may not have paid yet, right? How can you dedicate that zakah to support the work of CAIR? What is the anti-bullying efforts? What is discrimination in the workplace? Whether it's discrimination in terms of tenants and landlords and rental properties whereby people are unable to afford to cases, and of course the regularly immigration cases are going to be coming before the CAIR lawyers. You've seen all of the different, mashallah, staff who've spoken so far. Brothers and sisters, so far, this evening, mashallah, tabarakallah, you've already been generous. You've been listening to our telethon and been generous. We need you now. If you've not yet paid zakah, you can, inshallah, go to cair.com/donate. If you want to make a pledge, then continue to do that, and we will show you the number in a minute, inshallah. If you can flash the telephone number so that you can test and you can say, you know what, announce my name or don't announce my name, make it anonymous, but I want to support the work of CAIR. Why is this critical? In just a couple of minutes, and I'll come back for a little longer appeal. Or Robert, remind me if this is the major appeal, because we're a little bit delayed. So can I just go on for a few minutes?
Please do.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So it's critical that we value the work of CAIR, because CAIR has been there for us throughout these decades, 2 decades, right? And so the 25th anniversary was not too long ago, just as last October, November. If you can think of all of the great work CAIR has done over the years, and then realize, not on stop, right? It's actually continuing through the pandemic, but that it will get even more serious as the pandemic comes to an end. Those cases of discrimination, bullying, all of that are going to come before the lawyers of CAIR. Brothers and sisters, you gave before. We urge you to give now. As you approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these last few nights, you know you're special already. Why? You make dua, Allahumma blighna Ramadan, and alhamdulillah, it turned out that you and I lived to be able to witness Ramadan. Now making dua, Allahumma balighna Laylatul Qadr. Allah help us to witness Laylatul Qadr. And indeed, subhanallah, last night was an odd night, tomorrow night an odd night. CAIR loves you so much. We didn't want to disturb your 27th night. So we came to you the night before to say to you, please donate, right? When you make the dua for forgiveness, then think about the fact that the donation you're sending to CAIR is like a down payment. You're saying to Allah, I'm going to donate 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, however much you can give, inshallah, you'll be able to manage it. On the bottom of the screen, you already see, mashallah, that the amount raised is 85,000. In the few minutes that I have, inshallah, I am hoping that we can break the $100,000. Could you go to the phones now? Could you go to the website now? cair.com/donate. Are you able to WhatsApp the telephone number that I can give, right? So you should be able to consider the value that you have for CAIR and then translate that into dollars. Now, suppose you say, I already paid my zakat. No problem at all. Your sadaqah, Imam al-Ghazali reminds us in Ihya Ulumuddin, talking about zakah and sadaqah, he says, when you give sadaqah, it could be that the sadaqah you're giving is actually making up for an underpayment in the zakah. Now, CAIR is based in DC, where the IRS is also there. The IRS, if you underpay your taxes, they will send you a letter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends you no letter. There is no kind of change in your life because you didn't underpay zakah, but sadaqah makes up for it. Sadaqah makes up for it. So please do your best, inshallah, to help us get there. And I will look to see what update I have. I'm going to go for another minute, inshallah. I'll turn it back over and we'll come back for another short appeal in a minute. But these dollars, they go a long way. When case comes for the CAIR organization, maybe you're not aware of this, but if it requires legal intervention, if it requires the best and the brightest of CAIR's lawyers to intervene, the client, in this case, maybe it's a mother, right, who was somehow attacked verbally in public or even pushed, as it happened in Boston. It could be a child experiencing bullying and their family is in trouble and they want help. It could be a case of immigration, a case of discrimination. CAIR lawyers and the CAIR services are provided free of charge. That is unimaginable, unheard of. Do you know how they're able to do that? It's because of our generosity, because of our support, inshallah, to help CAIR, right? So that they can do the great work. Brothers and sisters, we're still at 85,000. I'm going to get a date, inshallah. The program So I turn it back over, inshallah, to Danette and Robert, and then I'll be around to come back, inshallah, and to make another quick appeal and hopefully to give you an update. Sister, take it away.
She said so many valuable things that are really true. And some of you might be thinking, well, maybe somebody else is giving. There's a lot of people out there. Well, in fact, we're relying on you. We're relying on you. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought you to this program tonight, it's for a reason. Nothing happens except by the will of Allah. Everything happens for a reason. If this message is getting to you, please think about a donation to CAIR. Actually, don't think about it. Just go and donate right now. We're telling you all of the things that we can do with that money to maximize CAIR's, to maximize the potential to complete CAIR's mission. MashaAllah, the CAIR has been doing amazing work for 25 years. It's brought it to this point, but we can do so much more with your support. And before I segue into a next special guest, I just want to remind you all that anything that you give, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't take from you. In fact, He promises us in the Quran, subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will increase you. And I know it's happened for me many, many times. When I was maybe reluctant to give, and then I gave, and something beautiful happened in my life. Very close in time to when I gave. We had a special guest on our Daily Dose today, Marwa Ali. She got on and talked about how her and her husband bought a car for their mother-in-law, that she really needed it. It was during the last 10 days of Ramadan, and within 3 days, her husband had a new job offer for a great opportunity in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's how they got to go up there and have a different opportunity and go to the next level in his career, subhanAllah. So Allah always increases us, and he expands us in some way or another. So don't hesitate. Don't think about not being able to give. You can give according to what you can afford. We understand that this is a difficult time in a lot of people's lives, so we don't want you to stretch yourself beyond your capacity. So not talking to the people right now who are in difficult financial straits, but if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you, or if you're deciding where to give your zakat right now, please consider CAIR, because we will take those resources. We'll provide more attorneys. We'll take on more cases. We will educate more American Muslims. We'll get more American Muslims out to the polls to vote. We will expand our work with your contribution. Now I want to bring in our special guest, Abrar Omeish, who, mashallah, she's on the school board of the Fairfax school system in Virginia. Is she with us? Assalamu alaikum, Abrar. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. It's good to see you again.
You too, alhamdulillah. How's it been since you've been serving on the school board?
Alhamdulillah, it's been quite the job. I was just getting off a meeting actually before this, tuning into this. So, and I should say, speaking in my personal capacity today, inshallah, I had to make sure I mentioned that. But funny that you all brought, Congressman Ellison. I did want to show just the importance of kind of what CAIR has been doing, facilitating some of these advocacy days and mentorship. I had wanted to mention it while he was here, but years ago, before I could have ever imagined being elected or, forging a path like this, he gifted me this, and we're in social distancing, so I just pulled it off my bookshelf here at home. Where, Women in Congress, and he had written me a note. SubhanAllah, I was just visiting the Hill on one of these similar things, the advocacy days and whatnot that CAIR holds. And, he left me a note, may Allah bless you and whatnot. And this meant so much to me as a young person, of course, and influenced the way I think about public service. But to that point, now, in elected office, was recently a co-chair for Bernie in Virginia, all these different things. And when I think back at being younger and my vision of what Muslims in America, what their role was and what was possible, I can't believe the progress really that's been made. And it's largely because of organizations like CAIR. SubhanAllah, we have Muslim women, I'm part of a group of hijabi women who've been elected across the country. The narrative around Muslims has changed. There were days when I remember feeling nervous, proud, but nervous to pray in public because people would just think I'm making weird movements. But now things have changed such that there's a public consciousness about it. People are more familiar with what Islam is, what Muslims look like, are aware that we're a part of this country and its history and the narrative that brought us here. So, and that's again in large part because of efforts like CAIR. I mean, even just having a Ramadan Mubarak message from SpongeBob official, which I know went viral, was incredibly meaningful to see as a step in some of that work, whether it's the political outreach that Robert is doing, whether it's some of the, relationships with media and coaching about what is appropriate Muslim framing or not. These are the kinds of things that, imagine for a Muslim child to see SpongeBob saying Ramadan Mubarak. I mean, the power of those steps, small and large, right? Where it's changing policy, defending people, whether it's things like bullying, which you mentioned, which I will tell you from an education perspective is a constant struggle, and is something that really we need to send that message of, we are not to be messed with. And we can't do that without organizations like CAIR that are reliable, that are credible, that are large and out there defending us and our rights, to make sure that discrimination against Muslims and any kind of slights or anything are unacceptable. And the other unique part of what CAIR is doing is, the Muslim community is incredibly intersectional. That's been one of the things that's inspired me, and even in my work, seeing that we have people from every background you can imagine, every immigration status, every ability, nationality, language, socioeconomic condition. And CAIR, as an organization that defends the Muslim community and defends civil rights and liberties in general, and vies to uphold freedom of speech for everyone, and fights to ensure that folks have a proper narrative and message, that they're marketed properly in public, it goes to support all of us, the broader community, and everyone belongs to that. So as I look here at I see now it's 90,000. Inshallah, I want to push us folks today, as we talk about a night of empowerment, which is really close, inshallah, to one of the nights of power. We don't know which of them it is, Laylatul Qadr, of course, in Ramadan now, but we can think about, when we say empowerment, we have a role in that ourselves. Laylatul Qadr, of course, is a day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be determining different things related to our fate and all that. We have an opportunity to take that step, to invest resources, to invest as a community collectively the time and the energy that it's going to take to build further into the future. And we shouldn't be taking these efforts for granted, right? It's not just that we woke up one day a few years later and saw that the narrative around Muslim Americans or Muslims, or that the condition for us and the respect for our rights has changed. That's not something that just happened, right? It was tireless effort and energy from staff members who this money goes to support, and who this money money goes to support the different materials necessary and all the operations to make this possible. Whether we're empowering ourselves by taking that agency and owning it as a community and saying, we will not be stepped upon. We will, send that strong, unified message and show who we really are, to determine our own futures and craft that message ourselves. Or, to think of empowerment for ourselves, whether it's tying our camel and this being that step. And even if it is a time of uncertainty and financial hardship, but even more so, the reason to reflect and realize in the time of Ramadan that really all of our wealth is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's control, and that this is our chance to put it towards something that we know is worthwhile, something that is meaningful, to be amongst those who maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will change the condition of because we chose to change ourselves. And finally, that this is a form of our own self-purification. I can speak to, when it comes to CAIR's efforts, I'm an elected official and I'm in public office, and folks from a distance might think that everything is taken care of. But even for me, going to airports is well, not right now anymore, but soon enough, inshallah, is usually a humiliating experience. Things like the Muslim ban. I personally saw CAIR at the forefront. Robert was at all those press conferences on the Hill, out there speaking up on all of our behalf. And when I say all, I don't even just mean Muslims or the affected countries, which I happen to be, one of, but I mean Americans and our civil liberties and our freedoms, and making sure that our country's policies and the decisions we make represent the values we believe in. So that is what we're talking about. When you donate $1, $2, don't walk away. And I'll be the first. I will do that myself. But do not walk away without even that, because every one of us watching this right now, the fact that you have internet, the fact that you're able to connect and have a Facebook account and have enough know-how to be able to speak the language and do that means you at least have the $5 to offer. So I really want to make
Thank
sure,
you.
inshallah, we push for that. Absolutely. And it's a pleasure to join you guys.
It's beautiful to see you, your energy, the fact that you started, this inspiration started for you through an experience with CAIR, and that my daughter, who's 13, can watch you and a new crop, inshallah, a new generation of activists, of people dedicating themselves to public service will just keep going and going and going. But it does require organizations like CAIR, those resources to put that down, to inspire new generations of American Muslims to do what you're doing. So thank you so much for serving in public office and representing your community so faithfully and so beautifully. Jazakallahu khairan. Have a good iftar, inshallah. Inshallah. So you heard it from somebody as beautiful as Abrar Omaish. It's your choice. We don't have to accept the status quo. Many communities have faced the same challenges as American Muslims, and they understood that they have a choice. They pulled their resources together. They created advocacy organizations to address their own unique needs and circumstances. And Muslim Americans, we have our own unique needs and circumstances. This vision was born 25 years ago, and here we are 25 years later fulfilling it because you gave. We have we've done so much progress in so little time. And inshallah, we can look forward to exponential success, but it's going to require exponential giving. We have to catch up to the giving levels of other communities. I want to say that one more time. We got to catch up to the giving levels of other communities to maximize our potential. And we can do that here. You can do that right here tonight. We want to bring on another special guest who I'm hearing is in our blue room. And I'm looking for the information here. It's Lana. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Because this is somebody who wasn't scheduled to be here in this hour. Can those from our blue room say it in our ear, because I don't have the information in front of me? Sorry, it wasn't somebody who, Lana Safa, I believe. Lana Safa, formerly a marketing and comms director, of Muslim American Society. Is she around? Hi, assalamu alaikum, Lana. I'm sorry you weren't scheduled. I'm so glad that you came to stop by. You weren't scheduled in my slot, for somebody else's, so I'm so glad that you're here. Absolutely. Thank you for giving us some of your time. I can see in the background that your iftar time is coming too, so this is really precious. Tell us, sort of, first of all, how's your Ramadan going so far?
Alhamdulillah, it's going great. Actually, this is the best time, I think, to be on. This is the time to really remind everybody that, it's the best time of day right before iftar, and well, on the East Coast at least, and to remind everybody to make dua for the Muslimin in general, for the Muslims and Muslim Americans, and especially an organization such as CAIR that works its hardest to make sure that my generation, my kids after me, have a space where they can express themselves. So this is actually the best time for me to be on.
So in your field, in your career, where have you really seen the impact of CAIR's work in your own life? And you said that you're a mom?
I am. Alhamdulillah, I'm a mom of 3.
Me too. I heard. Me too. Mashallah. So it means a lot to me. One of the reasons that I work for CAIR is because I really believe in the impact, what it will mean to our children and their children, and many generations from now. Inshallah, I think the success of our community is tied to the success of what we choose to do right now through CAIR. Honestly, mashallah. So, in what ways really do you see this organization being effective in your life and in your children's life? And why do you think it's important to give right now, especially to CAIR?
Absolutely. So we talk a lot about the impact of CAIR's work on creating equality in society for Muslims everywhere and making sure that we're well represented. And I really do appreciate what Abra said about having a SpongeBob with the Ramadan greeting, and it makes a difference. And I was actually just talking to a friend a little while ago about how, as Muslims growing up, we knew that it was Ramadan, it was Eid, but Ramadan and Eid were something in the masjid. They were something that we shared with our communities, our Muslim communities, but not really with the people around us. We would hide maybe the fact that we were fasting, or would be absent from school when there's a holiday, and so not really share that with the people around us, because we just didn't think that they would understand it. My involvement with CAIR came on an organizational level, and like you said, I'm the former marketing communications director for the Muslim American Society. Alhamdulillah, MAS and CAIR have a very close relationship, and I was able to work with CAIR closely on Muslim Hill Day, alhamdulillah, from the first year up until about 2 years ago. And I worked with Robert on the campaigning and on calling, and in the later years on training. But one thing we don't really talk about, and one of the most important impacts of CAIR, I think, is on the up and coming generation. Like I mentioned, I'm a mother of 3, alhamdulillah, and my oldest is now 15. But when Muslim Hill Day, Muslim Day on the Capitol in Washington, D.C. came about, my son was only 9 years old. And he joined me from that year. And every single year I went, to the point that it became an annual tradition for the two of us. He would be called in absent from school, and I would tell them very clearly that my son is going to an advocacy day on Capitol Hill. He's going to be meeting with his congressional representatives, with senators, and for, I think, the 4 years that my son attended with me, he was the youngest delegate on Capitol Hill. He still remembers this very well. I wish I could get him on, but he's a teen, so teens do not like to be on these kinds of things. But one of the best things that happened is that one year he met Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, and then the year after that, we actually ended up moving to her district here in New Jersey. She remembered him, and he actually got her to co-sign on a resolution that year, just because of his age and his charisma, and just because, being at these things year after year empowered him and convinced him that his age wasn't really a deterrent, but it was actually a plus. It was actually a great factor in being vocal for the Muslim community. And actually that resolution was about highlighting or, acknowledging the contributions of Muslim Americans historically in the United States. And he was very, very passionate about that. And he asked, very clearly, and I wish I had it with me in front of me right now, but she actually did sign on to that resolution, and she sent him a signed copy here to our new residence where we live in her district.
Wow. That's amazing. MashaAllah. I have an 18-year-old son. Last year when he was 17, he went to the Hill Days when he was little. I used to bring him. CAIR, we even did the Hill Days. We've done it for many, many, many years, even before we did it, mashallah, in coalition. It's beautiful now that we are able to do it in coalition. And it when our children see, especially when they have experiences like bullying in schools, and we do show up for them there in schools. All of my children have been served by CAIR in the public school system. My children have been recipients of CAIR services, mashallah, when they've had situations, and CAIR and always resulted in a successful outcome, alhamdulillah. And usually it's through CAIR providing resources to the school system. But then to be able to show up to a Hill Day and to be able to lobby and their congressperson, and to be seen, to be heard, and have CAIR provide that opportunity, it's just another layer of confidence that it gives them, mashallah. And it's so important to our youth. It's so important to their identity as Muslims. We want them to hold on to this identity. I want my great-great-grandchildren to be Muslim, to stay and feel confident and feel a place for themselves within this American constitutional democracy. And so it's one of the reasons that, I wake up every day excited to do CAIR's work. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you have a good iftar, inshallah. May it be blessed, inshallah. I hope I see you in person. And I'm so excited to announce that over $100,000, mashallah, has been raised, and we're going to keep on going, inshallah. I want to bring on CAIR's talk about women leaders, mashallah. I want to bring on CAIR's board chair, who is Rula Aloush. I think she's with us. Assalamu alaikum, Rula. How are you?
Alaikum. How are you, Jeanette?
Ramadan Kareem. Good, alhamdulillah. How are you? I already asked you how you're doing. Good. Thank you for coming. I know you've worked all day and you fasted all day and you spend your nights often doing CAIR's work. And so here you are again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with the CAIR team.
Inshallah. What got you inspired to be with CAIR? Why do you stay in volunteering your time, day after day, giving to CAIR financially and time?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I think it's such a blessing for us to have CAIR. CAIR is such an important organization for our community, for each of us individually and collectively. I've been involved with CAIR since I was in law school, and I carry it close to my heart, alhamdulillah. It's really a privilege to serve through the organization. And, one of the main things to me about CAIR's work and the work of the team is just how committed each individual is. We are on the front lines of defense for our community. And we do this in conjunction with the support of our community members, our volunteers, those who donate to us. Alhamdulillah, I'm so excited to hear about the number that we've raised thus far today, Jeanette, and inshallah we can keep going and
inshallah
raise the funds that we need to stay on the front lines for our community, inshallah.
Inshallah. It requires giving, right, at the individual level. And again, some people are watching this program and we always think that somebody else is covering that issue or that problem for us. And, you're going about maybe cooking your iftar, hearing this program in the background, seeing Rula, hearing her talk about CAIR's work. And if, this program has caught your attention, again, it's for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr is magnificent. MashaAllah, you're hearing this. Take this opportunity. It's so quick. CAIR.com/donate, or you can text it, you can call in any way. And, if you can afford to give whatever giving level that you can afford, CAIR will take that rizq and we will maximize it. And Rula will tell you, mashallah, we are very good stewards of the resources. That's one of Rula's jobs as the chairperson. Mashallah, we are not only a professional staffed organization, but our boards, mashallah, also follow very professional best practices. They get together, they look at our financials. They, are always, they're in charge of those resources. They're stewards of it. They're very vigilant about that. And that's because of the dedication of individuals like Rula, mashallah. And maybe you can speak to a little bit of that, just how really we maximize the resources through spending just so much time in planning and coming back to the table, deliberating, and really being what I want to communicate is being very deliberate about the planning process and how we're going to expend those resources.
Yeah, and I love that you pointed out, Danette, that we're a professional organization. It's one of the things that I really pride myself in about. I'm proud of CAIR in the work that it does, that it is such a professional organization full of individuals that have professional degrees and backgrounds that are doing the work day to day to advocate for and defend and protect our community. And then also those of us that are volunteering in different capacities as board members are also applying best practices, so things like Robert's rules in our meetings, and making sure that we comply with our obligations as fiduciaries of the organization. I take very seriously, and I know the other board members for CAIR across the country take seriously, that we are fiduciaries of this organization. We have an amana, a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make sure that those funds that are donated to us, those are the CAT donations and other general donations that come to us, we have a responsibility to use that in a way that can be most efficient and productive for the purposes with which they're being donated and given. And so we continue to work to make sure that as an institution, we are applying ourselves in that way to make the best use of your donations so that we can all, inshallah, make an impact for our community.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much, Rula, again, for serving. I know that it's, again, it's above and beyond the professional career that you maintain every day. You're an attorney, mashallah, in private practice. And when you're not doing that, you're doing CAIR's work. And it keeps the ship sailing. And we're really fortunate to have someone like you. And also, it's just great as one sister to another that we have a woman at the helm of our organization who's leading it and making this work possible. So thank you. Thank you for stopping by tonight. And I hope that you are looking forward to a good iftar, inshallah, and a beautiful night also of prayer. Inshallah. Everybody make dua for all of the the leaders and all the board members around our organization nationwide who might be also tuning in and watching, and you attend those board meetings, you do the work behind the scenes. It's, it's not glamorous. It's, it's the hard work. You get down into the nitty gritty to maximize every single cent of every single dollar that is donated to CAIR, to be good stewards of the resources. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. Some of you on the East Coast, at least, you're just starting to get ready, put food on the table to break your fast, and you're thinking about giving to CAIR. And I say to you again, don't think about it, just do it. Other communities have been where we've been, and they had a choice whether to accept the status quo or to start an advocacy organization that would serve and feed many generations of their community for years and years to come. And mashallah, CAIR has already fed the first generation that started it, mashallah, and the children of that generation. And now we want to go into the future, and that's going to require support and resources. Inshallah, we're going for exponential growth. So I've really appreciated your attention tonight. Thank you so much for the time you've given me. It's my time to say goodbye, but it's also my opportunity to introduce our next host, who is a very good friend of mine and also colleague, Asma Rahman. She's CAIR's chapter manager. Mashallah, she deploys resources all over our network nationwide. A lot of the things that our chapters rely on, we have 19 affiliates all over the country and 26 offices. And they call on Asma every day, and she's constantly, selflessly serving them to get them the resources that they need to serve our constituents all around the country. So I want to bring her on and say goodbye to you all. Again, thank you for tuning in. And we're going to give you a short video, so hold on one second, and please pick up that phone, log in, and give that donation. Thank you so much. Salam alaikum.
So when CAIR goes into court, they're not just fighting for Muslims, they're fighting for everybody, because you have CAIR. And as strong or weak as it is a reflection of how strong or weak your commitment is.
Injustice is fought with justice and mercy. And that's what this organization is here for, and that's what we stand for, and that's what we should continue to support.
I believe it's a fard kifaya to support the work of CAIR. Continue this incredible work. You are at the front lines of really meaningful, impactful work that is contributing to the prophetic legacy. I'm sure that the Prophet will be pleased with you because you stood for justice, right? You stood for a purpose which is godly.
If there was ever a time that we needed to stand with the Council on American Islamic Relations, that time is now. And now realizing now that we have needed CAIR, and we need CAIR now more than ever.
I think that CAIR has not just been the first such voice, it's been the most effective, it's been the most national, it's been the most politically savvy. I think every single Muslim that's had anything to do with media, that's had anything to do with the social issues going on, has had a personal relationship with CAIR.
We are here because we believe in the mission of CAIR, and CAIR has always been about courage. They have taken courageous stances, and they have made it easier for all of us to have courage.
CAIR's work is certainly important because we live in an age in which, if you actually look at a lot of data, most people still say they haven't met a Muslim, they don't know a Muslim, they really don't understand what the issues are.
I'm asking each and every one of you to do what you can, that our faith is averaged on the instant. The temperature of this planet is averaged on the instant. And so it is not a question of what you did before, but what have you done for Islam lately? And so I'm asking you, make a donation. Volunteer to help CAIR do its work, because we need an army of volunteers, advocates. But I ask you now, do it now. Support the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ramadan Mubarak. Walhamdulillah. Walhamdulillah. Praise God. It looks like we are almost at $100,000 bidnillah. Brothers and sisters, I'm even asking now for SpongeBob to call 202-646-6045. What it means for the work that's being done to safeguard ourselves and our children and to share the kind of community that we really are. That we're really not the community that some people say that we are, but we have to be the ones to tell our own story. How do we tell that story? By the use of CAIR, Council on American Islamic Relations, 25-year track record, well established, not only in Washington, D.C., but in communities around the country where you live. And so I'm saying to you now, Bidnillah, $1,000, if you pledge $1,000 now for the year, it's less than $100 a month. It's all tax deductible. And I know some of you got that stimulus check. We need you to help stimulate some CAIR by donating now, Bidnillah, completely tax deductible. It is multiplied by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month of Ramadan, and it will make a difference. This Ramadan is different, but it's not going to stop us from making a difference, alhamdulillah. The Council on American Islamic Relations, they do this work day in and day out, and I have to say to you, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's the job that as a vocation. It is something that a person takes on and says, if I'm in the parking lot, but I work for CAIR and someone has an issue, they can approach me and say, brother, sister, I have this problem. Can you help me solve it? The beautiful part about CAIR is that it's not only reactive. Usually think of CAIR as something happened, and CAIR then is called to marshal its great resources to come to the defense of an idea that came in the form of a person. You know, Islam came as an idea, and we have the person of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who received the Quran in that night, Laylatul Qadr, the knowledge of which one it is was lost to him, and so encouraged for us to seek it in these last 10 days, and in the last 10 nights, mostly the latter, and among the latter, the 25th, the 27th, or the 29th. I'm saying to you now, let that support come from you, from those principles, those values that you believe in, so that CAIR can do the work that needs to be done. Well, alhamdulillah, those who said, Imam, I don't know if I can pledge $1,000 a month, but remember, a year, but remember that Allah loves most a small deed done consistently. Abrar, I can say this in public, I love Abrar, who's part of the school board of Fairfax County. She now, as a result of her experience with CAIR as a young person and seeing the condition that young people are in schools, in a proactive way, she's gotten involved, and CAIR has produced programs around the country to proactively go into schools, to meet with the principals and the other administrators, and then to execute a program to put in place best practices so that our children won't have to be bullied in school. Well, alhamdulillah, you can do it now. If you divide 500 by 12, somebody smart, they get out the calculator, they can do it. But I know, alhamdulillah, that if you divide 500 by 10, you get 50. Less than, alhamdulillah, less than $50 a month. Even if you do an atom's weight of good, you'll see it again. Go to your website now. Go to your phone now. Go to your texting now. Text to 41444, alhamdulillah, and text and put in that my rights and pledge now. You know, they're actually human beings who are standing by at 202 646 6045, who will actually, human being, will take your call, and they'll be so grateful that, alhamdulillah, in this Ramadan that you made a difference. For some of you who are watching, CAIR.com /donate, and do it now. You know, we talked earlier about the watch list and how CAIR is fighting on the days when many of us are sleeping or doing whatever we do. Well, alhamdulillah, I used to have a pre-written text when I would travel, and as soon as they gave me the sign that says, you come this way, I would send that text to Nihad Awad at CAIR. And one time they asked me, said, well, we saw you text somebody. Who did you text? I said, I text CAIR, because I want somebody to know what's going on with me, what my condition is, who's going to advocate for me when I'm in a situation when I cannot advocate for myself. Brothers and sisters, tonight and these nights that follow, I'm going to invite you not only to give money to CAIR, to share with your friends and your family, even share with SpongeBob. Tell your children to share it with SpongeBob, but also to pray that we can, with the help of the Council on American Islamic Relations and its chapters around the country and its volunteers, that we can help America, as Dr. King said, to live up to its promise, the promise that it wrote in the document called the Constitution, that it would be a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, I'm going to turn it to our host. Go to your phones now and pledge, make your payment. And I actually have a date right now. It's a different kind of date. Alhamdulillah, it's Muslim dating we're doing. And so, Bismillah, may Allah bless you all, and I'll be standing by.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon all of you. For those of you just joining us, thank you for being here for this special program tonight. And for those of you who have been watching, I am excited to be taking over from my esteemed colleagues and hosting you all tonight, inshallah. As Danette mentioned, I am the National Chapter Manager for CAIR. I've been with the National Office involved with CAIR in some capacity or another since I was about 14 years old, taking part in CAIR letter writing campaigns at MINA camps. Part of the work I do as a National Chapter Manager is support chapters in providing them with resources and services to strengthen their chapters. Our chapters are the backbone of our organization. Just like national staff, they are out there in the trenches, fighting hard for their local communities day in and day out. I could not do any of the work I do supporting our chapters if it weren't for donors and allies like you all. So the biggest thank you of all goes to all of you out there who actually make this work possible through your generous donations and support. Today, as many of you have already been watching, we are introducing you to many of the critical people, the leaders that work behind the scenes and on the front lines of CAIR to serve, protect, advocate for, and empower American Muslims. We will be need to keep doing that work, and how you can help, inshallah. Not only with financial donations, but by volunteering, spreading the word about the great work that is being done, and so much more. So with that, I'm honored to introduce my first guest for the evening, the legend, the giant, the Midwesterner turned Southerner, my colleague, Dr. Abbas Barzagar. Dr. Abbas is our very accomplished Director of the Research and Advocacy Department at CAIR. He is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia tonight. Dr.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. There was a little bit of a lag, but I can hear you now. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing well. How's the weather down there? in Atlanta?
It's been raining for about a day straight, so it's a little bit intense over here. But I have to say, it's very nice to be hosting and being on the screen with you again. Asma, you've done a wonderful job, through the last couple of months, being on screen and working with us to get the word out to our community. So it's wonderful to be with you tonight again.
Thank you. Same here. I work with you every day, but I would like you to tell the audience, you all do so much important work for CAIR and for the community, you and your department. For those that don't know what the Research and Advocacy Department really means, can you give us a quick overview of what your department does?
Well, look, let me start off by saying that it's been an amazing privilege to work with everybody at CAIR. I've only been in the nonprofit advocacy space. It hasn't even been 2 years that I've been with CAIR. And I have to say, it's the most remarkable set of people that I've met, both our supporters, our volunteers, our staff, people like yourself, Esma. I'm not joking. It is really a privilege to work with such dedicated and heartfelt people. And so I've done a tremendous amount of learning, but I just want to say thank you there. But I do want to just say, okay, so what do we do in our department? How do we get started? How do we kind of tackle this issue? Look, let me just start off by saying that Islamophobia is really like a problem similar to what you might think about in terms of climate change or pollution. Okay, we know that Islamophobia exists in such a way that even children at school have Islamophobic anti-Muslim ideas. Okay, but then we see those same ideas and those same talking points on Facebook feeds. We see them on policy statements. We see them in school textbooks. And so Islamophobia is really this kind of global problem, like it's similar to pollution or climate change. However, we know that pollution and climate change are caused by certain kinds of factories that are pushing pollutants into our water, into our air, into the clouds, and affecting really the way that we are affecting our public health and affecting our environment all around us. So my department, Research and Advocacy, I like to think about the department as a kind of bulwark of sort of research for the medium and long-term challenges against Islamophobia. So the same way that we have our frontline respondents in this fight, our legal work, our on-the-ground community organizers, our grassroots leaders, our advocates who will go with the parent to the school to deal with a bullying issue, right? Our department provides the medium and long-term support, the analysis, the research to push back against these longer trends. And so that's kind of an abstract way to think about it, but to pull it right down into concrete terms, what our department does is track and monitor and analyze the data behind hate crime incidents and anti-Muslim incidents that occur in this country. And so we track incidents in the media, and then we also have a very robust system of tracking and analysis that comes through our CAIR chapters. And then we push out regular updates about that data to help inform policymakers, media people, academics, and our own advocacy efforts on how to deal with these issues. So that's one side, is just the collection of the data. And then there are things that I consider the medium and long-term work, which is applying that information using applied research techniques to advocate for real long-term structural change. And so that's sort of a macro analysis, and I look forward to talking more in depth about how we do this, some of this work. Tonight we have actually a special guest coming on later, one of our senior fellows in the department who's done a remarkable job helping us with some of this work.
So Abbas, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay. You mentioned bias and hate crimes. Can you tell us, are they on the rise? Is it as bad as we think it is, or is it getting better? And I believe you have two slides that you wanted to show us at the same time, correct?
Yeah, it'd be great if there's a way that we could pull up these slides, either the first one, which is the country-wide incidents. Yeah, this works out well. Now, obviously the viewer can't probably zoom in too closely there, but I did want to kind of highlight this text. This comes from a text that we published last fall called the Bias Brief, and this is basically a policy statement, an update about the state of hate crimes in this country since the rise of the Trump era. And what we did is, mashallah, CAIR has done an amazing job tracking this data for years and years and years. And so it's really the only organization of its kind to do this kind of work. Frankly, there's not many organizations in the country that are capable of doing this work, whether it's Muslim organizations or otherwise, to track this kind of data on a regular basis. But what we did is we charted what did hate crimes, bias incidents, and anti-Muslim activity look like prior to the rise of Trump. And I don't mean necessarily his election as president, but instead his entrance into the presidential election in 2015. And what we see is this remarkable rise of hate crimes and bias incidents that really peaks in 2017 in the first and second quarters around the institution of the Muslim ban and the kind of chaos that ensued there. And then what we do is we see a small little drop off after, you know, Muslim ban incidents died down, but now we have a sustained level of anti-Muslim activity that's higher than our pre-Trump, pre-2015 levels. And so what we're able to do is track that data because we have such long trajectory, long analysis here. We're able to track it. We're able to analyze it on a state-by-state basis. Even now, we are upgrading some of the way that we collect data. So soon we'll have county level and even zip code level analysis. And this analysis really, really comes into play when you're trying to address authorities on the state of this issue. And so, you know, I'm thankful for CAIR for allowing me to, you know, operate in this space and kind of helm, you know, stay at the helm of this data analysis portion. But they've been doing amazing work for a very long time. And it's only been possible through volunteers, through staff members, and most importantly, obviously, through the community support that has been given to CAIR through over the years. So whoever you are who's been supporting CAIR all these years, continue to do so, because it wouldn't be possible to make the case to lawmakers and to police officials, law enforcement, and others about hate crimes data and incidents. And so there's another slide there if we could pull it up, and this is the 2019 numbers. If there's it says 2019 numbers, if there's a way we could get those pulled up. And so this is just another example of the kind of publication and reporting that we do. Again, this might be a little bit too difficult for the viewer to see right off the bat, but what we have here is our preliminary analysis of the 2019 numbers. It takes some time for all the numbers to come in from our different chapters and for us to process them in different ways, but this is a small snapshot. But what you're looking at here is not just, you know, one hate, you know, it's not just that somebody calls and says, oh, you know, somebody treated me bad, and then we record the incident and that's it. It goes into one tally. No, instead, we have well over a dozen subcategories and subcategories on what kind of incident it was, where it happened, why it happened, and when it happened, what was the context, and things like this. And so what we're able to do is not simply track anti-Muslim activity, but anti-Muslim activity in a specific way. So, for example, did we have an employment issue? Was it an employment accommodation, employment discrimination case? If so, was it a man? Was it a woman? Was she wearing hijab? Was she not wearing hijab? Did the man wear traditional Islamic clothing? You know, non-traditional Islamic clothing? Did the person have a beard? And so we have all these different subcategories and factors and markers that we're able to basically give more context to these statistics. So what you're looking at there is kind of a robust chart of the different kinds of activity that we're reporting, so you can use this information in multiple different ways.
So Abbas, we have one more question before we go to Imam Johari for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to you. But before we go to Imam Johari, the Islamophobia Network is a highly, highly funded and powerful network. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the work you've done to expose it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And if we could actually pull up this document. I think it's called the Charity to Hate funnel or something of that nature. If we could pull up that document, it's an important one to discuss. I'm going to get a little passionate about this right here. Sister Danette earlier was talking about how how sort of outmatched we are in terms of funding. So last year, with the help of an amazing staffer that I had the pleasure of working with, Sister Zainab Arain, who was in the office prior to me showing up, had done this remarkable analysis of the funding flows from, from powerful donors to the Islamophobia network. And so we call the Islamophobia network, in my mind, to use the metaphor again, the Islamophobia network is the factories, it is the factory of Islamophobic hate. It is the place where this stuff is manufactured. And what's remarkable is that over $125 million just in the span of a couple of years, I think this was the period of 2014 to 2016, was funneled to 501c3s that were operating as if they were just normal organizations, when in fact they're hate groups, but they were being funneled through mainstream institutions. It was absolutely remarkable. It was institutions like Fidelity and Schwab and Vanguard. I mean, these are well-known household names, and instead of being philanthropic institutions, stewarding the public good and doing good in public life, these organizations are literally pushing funding to hate groups. So what we did is we were able to take that raw data, apply it, reframe it, get people to understand what the actual problem was. And what we've done is we've gone fully on the offensive and gone straight to the funding sources and the funding channels to clog up these channels and ask these charities and ask these major institutions to say, look, this isn't okay. You can't be out here sponsoring hospitals on one hand and then sponsoring a hate group on the other side. And so we're quite humbled that the work got so much traction, got so much publicity, got so much support by the sector itself. The philanthropic community itself has been working with us to solve this problem. And I should say that we've been publishing follow-up work on this. And most recently, just on the eve of the pandemic, we released a white paper to talk about this problem in more focus. And one of the organizations that we sort of highlighted as problematic in the white paper was then defunded by a major charity, and it was no longer allowed to receive its funding. And so our work led directly into the defunding of a white supremacist organization. And then just 2 weeks ago, that organization happened to be, by the way, in Washington, headquartered, not too far from, I believe, the sort of, Microsoft, Facebook, Silicon Valley kind of arena. And I would just say that just 2 weeks ago, that same organization, or just this last week, that same organization was now banned from Facebook. And so what we're excited about is that we're part of the kind of cascade of activity that is putting an end to white supremacy. Alhamdulillah.
Wow, mashallah, that is so much to really just comprehend, Abbas. Like I don't even know, so much to unpack there. And we don't have a lot of time, but I still want to ask you a couple more questions. And I'm sure you'll have so much more, to give us that's going to be needed to be unpacked as well. You've done a lot of work to empower Muslim children in dealing with Islamophobia. Can you talk to us about your anti-bullying guide on bias and bullying?
Yeah, I could, but I really don't want to without Melissa Levinson to join us.
So let's get
Is
Melissa
she available?
on. I believe she is. We can have her on. Can we get Melissa on? There we go.
Hey, Melissa,
Hi, Melissa.
how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Before we get started, I just want to I want to introduce Melissa to the audience, if possible. So, a former CAIR staff member, Arsalan Bukhari, many of you know him well. When I first showed up, he said, "Listen, Abbas, there's this great thesis that I found, and it's about representations of Muslims in American textbooks, and it's written by this." It's written by somebody who just graduated from a university out, I think it was out in the United Arab Emirates. I forgot what school it was, Melissa, excuse me. But it was the NYU school, right? It was
yeah.
NYU out in Abu Dhabi, right? MashaAllah. So I got this thesis, okay? I look at it. It's like 100 pages long. So automatically I think it's like a PhD thesis, or it's like a really advanced master's thesis. And mashallah, it's the work of just an exemplary student, an undergraduate named Melissa Levinson, who joins us now from Georgetown University, where she is finishing her master's degree. But she is literally one of the, I would say now, without a doubt, one of the leading experts in the country on the representation of Muslims in public school textbooks, and a kind of a real expert on the way that the education system works. And so after a couple of coffee meetings and with some extra mocha and some extra sugar, I convinced her to work with us. And so, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us at CAIR, both tonight, but more importantly, over the last year. It's been a true privilege to work with you and learn from you on the kind of work that we do. So why don't you tell the audience just a little bit about what we've been up to?
Sure. So first of all, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It's been my absolute pleasure to work with CAIR and under Abbas Barzagar for the past about year. And our work has focused on tackling bias and bullying against Muslim students in public schools. And the way that we've tackled this issue is we see it as a threefold issue. So not only is it just peer-to-peer bullying in schools, but it's also the preparedness of teachers and school administrators to be able to deal with these issues and to support Muslim youth. And the third aspect of it is also what my specialty is the curricular aspects. So how are Muslims being portrayed to other students in schools, and how is that impacting Muslim students' own perceptions about their religion and their identity? And so what we've been doing so far is we've been working with a variety of different stakeholders across the country to come up with a comprehensive plan and best practices to be able to equip students and parents and school teachers and administrators with the tools to address Muslim or anti-Muslim bias and bullying, and how to elevate the capacity of these local stakeholders to confront these really important issues. And I think we can all agree that Muslim students are shouldering a lot of the burden of Islamophobia. It affects Muslim students on a very widespread level. And so for us to be able to dedicate resources to helping empower Muslim youth and empower schools to best help Muslim youth to reach their full capacity, and it's just been a real privilege to work with CAIR for the past year.
Well, I'll say that we've benefited tremendously from you, Melissa. Thank you so much. I mean, to give people concrete ideas of the kind of work that we're doing, this has been almost a year that we've been actively engaged in this work. And so on one hand, Melissa, for example, right now, in the middle of this pandemic, in the middle of this drama, she is administering a survey of Muslim students that attend public schools in about 4 different states. And she's doing this with, against all odds, by organizing local teams, sometimes volunteers, sometimes staff, sometimes people that are paid stipends, to host online meetings. We go and we talk to the students in that capacity, gather the data. But you have to understand, to even formulate the survey, to create the survey, to do it with rigor and to contain the methodology, to make it sound, to make it, have integrity so that people don't just think you're making up numbers. You have to really do very rigorous professional work. And so Melissa has done that work, and our department, has laid the blueprint to do the most professional bullying advocacy or anti-bullying advocacy and Muslim advocacy work in public schools in the country. I know that there are remarkable institutions out there, but the fact of the matter is that you can't address just bullying on its own, and you can't address, teacher competency on its own, and you can't address just a problem in a textbook on its own. You really have to come up with an entire system to address this. And so thankfully, on one hand, we have the survey. On the other hand, we're meeting with school administrators, not just at like the local school level, but literally at the district level, who allow us to come in to talk to them, to develop programs, to do teacher training. I believe in the Baltimore area, we've trained over a few hundred teachers just in the last year. But we also were privileged enough to bring these stakeholders together for an extended symposium where Melissa helped design this program to talk about these issues. Melissa, could you tell them a little bit more about what we did at that time?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this past August, we ran a full day focus group or symposium with a variety of different stakeholders, from curriculum writers to teachers to diversity and inclusion, equity administrators. And basically what we did was we created these panels where these experts in their specific fields shared their experiences and best practices and recommendations, but also the challenges that they face in supporting Muslim youth and supporting the combating of Islamophobia. And so what we did was we took all of these recommendations and the challenges and successes that we found from all of these different actors, and we created a white paper out of it. And it's an 18-page report. You can access it on islamophobia.org. And it gives teachers and administrators and also community members resources and tools for how to best address these issues. And we're really proud of this document, and we're hoping that it will serve as a toolkit for a lot of people to be able to implement this work in their respective communities.
No, thank you. And actually, could we pull up, I believe we have the cover to that. If we could pull up that white paper, I just want people to get a sense of how this came together.
Wow, Dr. Abbas and Melissa, even though, Abbas, you know, I work with you almost every day, I feel like I learned so much more about what you do tonight. You know, as a closing question for both of you, what kind of support do you need in order to continue doing this critical work for our community? What would you like to say to our viewers tonight?
Listen, first and foremost, I want to say, you know, thank you for those that are tuned in, and thank you for everybody who's already donated so far. Mashallah, we've already raised $125,000. It looks like, and so that's an amazing feat. But I will be very, very clear here. This kind of work requires substantial support for a long-term investment. You cannot change public education culture with volunteers. You can't do it with one staff member. You can't do it with two staff members. You can't do it with three staff members. What you need really is a robust infrastructure that is versatile, that is capable of mobilizing people both in the public space and in the private space to do this work effectively over the long run. And so we've been privileged to have outstanding fellows and interns like Melissa, but that's not really a sustainable approach to the solution. You need dedicated staff. You need dedicated, funding streams to make this work effective. And so yeah, just to be honest, you need to be able to hire a staff person. And if you look at comparable organizations in other ethnic communities, in other religious communities, they have whole organizations that just deal with educational issues in one location, in like one little, county or in one little area. And we need to be able to address this issue across the country. And so your dollar is going to go into professional advocacy, the like of which our Muslim organizations in our community has not really seen before. And so we hope to be able to drive this forward. And with your help and your support, inshallah, we'll have a future where our children feel safe, comfortable, and just at home in their schools as anybody else.
Well, Dr. Abbas and Melissa, it has been a pleasure as always. I wish you a most blessed, barakah-filled last few nights of Ramadan, inshallah. Thank you for sharing everything that you do with our audience, and jazakallahu khairan, and have a wonderful evening, inshallah.
No, thank you. And thank you for having iftar with me.
I'm not in your time zone, so I'm not actually having iftar with you, but I'll watch you. Next, we have our beloved Imam Johari. He is going to be checking in with us and sharing a few words with us. Also, we will be having Dr. Altaf Hussein join him in a few moments. So, Imam Johari, are you there?
Well, alhamdulillah, and I'm joining the research team in having our iftar.
Oh my gosh, subhanallah, the dedication.
So I'm encouraging those of you who are further out west, it's coming. But what needs to come now is we have about 10 minutes left. And in the 10 minutes that we have, we need to close the gap. There are children who are expecting us as adults, as parents, to provide the resources for them to be able to challenge their own identity, to defend them against bullying in their schools. And so tonight, maybe there are many of us who are unsure about our futures, but know this, if we do a small deed consistently. I'm challenging college students. Donate $10 a week. That's $500 for the year. Call your friends. I know you got a bunch of fake friends Facebook friends. Go share with them. Share the link with your friends right now and tell them. Donate $10 a week. Whatever that coffee place you go to is probably closed. So save your money, invest it in a future. College students, high school students, go out, do it now, pledge us $500 for the year. Actually, it would be, in this case, $520 for the year, $10 a week, Bismillah. Go to your phone now, 202-646-6445. Text "My Rights" to the number 41444, or go to the website cair.com/donate, but do it now. Is Altaf with me?
Sir, yes, sir. Look
Right
at
on.
this. Look, this is Altaf Unplugged, because we're after iftar on the East Coast, and this is green screen. This is straight up green screen, no virtual background, because we're telling you, we gave up our
That's
iftar
right.
time to tell everybody in the Midwest and in the West Coast, as you come close to
Do it.
iftar time, this is your time. This is your time. Imam
That's
Johari
right.
just gave you the 3 ways to donate. Text to 41444, My Rights, and then text your name and a pledge amount, 202-646-6045. Most importantly, make dua for CAIR, because CAIR has been there for
Ameen.
us. At this Ramadan, we're saying we're all going to be here for CAIR. Look, we're at 125. We're going to give you the totals in a minute, inshallah. We have like 7 minutes remaining. 7 minutes remaining.
That's right.
We cannot hold, right? So if you can just go, inshallah, do your best. Get
Text.
online. If you can donate one time, do that. If you can donate installments, do that, inshallah. And I'm going to turn it back over to Imam Johari.
You know, Altaf, for the love of this Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us so many reminders. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminds us that, you know, right now, we don't know how long we're going to live. I plan to live a long time. I don't know about you. I plan to live a long time. But I also know in the fragility of what's happening now, you can't put off something for tomorrow. Donate $100 right now. Donate $100. Call your friend, text them and say, look, text to this number, man. Something is happening. We're going to make a difference this Ramadan before the month closes. We have to do it. You know, we're looking at $150,000 was the goal for this program tonight. That is a fraction of what it costs to run CAIR. And so for us, each one of us we benefit from CAIR. Every atom's weight of good that we do, we will see it not just in the hereafter. We will see it every time some young person is bullied at school. We'll see every time someone, when they're discriminated at work, they're going to call CAIR. Every time somebody says something in Congress that's Islamophobic, you're going to see CAIR. How do you see CAIR? You see CAIR tonight by going to cair.com/donate and put your money where your mouth is. By the way, this is like being in the ring with Muhammad Ali. He used to rhyme a lot. Put your money where your mouth is. Bismillah, whether you text it, whether you call it, but do it now. Bismillah. By the way, because I'm here, Altaf.
Yes, sir.
I need you to pledge. What you pledging, man?
My family and I will give 500. My family and I will give 500.
And I'm matching Altaf. That's 1,000. See how that happens? It's dangerous being on the. This is called, instead of it being COVID, we're gonna call it connecting ourselves virtually. Altaf and I, we're connected virtually, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. Go to the phone, do it now. Give us an update. CAIR in the accounting department. I'm looking down here. I don't see the number coming up, but Bismillah, we need you now. We need it now.
Inshallah. And as we have, just a few minutes left, we also want to remind you that every speaker after speaker has said, right, CAIR literally does the hard work of the community, whether the pandemic or not. And in fact, my estimation is, and I'm not trying to be a naysay, a doomsday guy, but after the pandemic is, things open back up, we will find out about all of the different discrimination cases that occurred, whether with landlords and tenants or employment cases, and people were just, afraid to come out and say something or do something. That's going to all come on the desk of the CAIR lawyers. and every case that CAIR handles is free of charge. But when you pay, you are saying, you know what, CAIR, you go and do the work. We got your back. We're going to take care of you. We're going to provide, you know, the resource you need to get it done.
Right.
Brothers and sisters, again, I'm hoping they can update, inshallah. I know it should at least say 126 because Imam Johari and I just gave a 500 each. That should be at least 126. And so text to 41444. 41444 my rights, and then also and give your amount and name, as well as 202-646-6045, care.com/donate. Brothers and sisters, you have absolutely every reason to have faith that CAIR, inshallah, gets the job done. Success story after success story after success story. And Jazakumullah khair. We have a couple of minutes left, and I'm hoping, even though the total is not going up, you know, according to the meter, that you are giving. And inshallah, we're going to be able to give you the total in a minute, inshallah.
Well, alhamdulillah, you know, one of the things I always know about this, that somewhere between our dua and the results, Allah is acting. So I never feel when I see the number doesn't change that Allah isn't changing things by the use of people. So alhamdulillah, don't worry about whether that number is moving. We know behind the scenes right now, they're counting and collecting to make it happen. You know, when I think about the state of America, America is at a great risk right now. It's loss of identity. It's loss of collective purpose. It will be the communities that shoulder the ideas of what it is to really be fully human in this society. And CAIR is on the front line of that work and building allies. You know, Altaf, you do fundraising for CAIR at different events, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you find sometimes there are people there who are not Muslim?
Oh yeah. In fact, one of the people who got a social justice ally award, he was not a Muslim, and he actually donated in one of our chapter fundraising. Yes, that's right.
Wallahi, because they know the value of standing up for what is right. Well, alhamdulillah, we are designed by Allah. Let there arise out of you a party who is enjoining what is good. We have to be tonight one of those people who's part of the Sabiqun, the people who step forward to say, in the closing minute of this fundraising event, I'm going to donate 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 because Allah has blessed me, or I'm going to donate $5 or $10 or $15 because, alhamdulillah, Allah knows I need it and I want Allah to replace it with something better. Brothers and sisters,
you know, Imam Johari,
we love CAIR.
Nothing is by chance, and you know that, because if you're surfing the internet and you just happen to come across this live feed right now, that didn't happen by chance. Allah willed that you would show up right about now, and you would look at the screen and you would say, wow, this stuff is going on for CAIR. What can I do? This is not by chance. So give, and the angels will make dua for you. The angels will say, Allahumma ati munfiqan khalafa, oh Allah, replace what this servant of yours is spending. And believe me, that may not be dollar for dollar. It may be a different kind of blessing. It may be something that shows up in your family life that really changes the trajectory of your family because you donated when the asking was being done. Brothers and sisters, step right up. 41444. Text my rights and then put your name and the amount. You can text to 202-646-6045. And of course, you can also donate at care.com/donate. Thank you so much. And really, the dua is very sincere. Oh, mashallah, we're getting from the WhatsApp, Imam Johari. You see the WhatsApp?
I saw that. I saw the WhatsApp says 127, 827.
Wonderful. Mashallah, tabarakallah. 127.
But it's big. It's bigger than that. But we need you to do it now. We need you to do it now. Do it. Go to the text. Go to your phone. Go to the email. You can go to whatever you like, long as you call us now, Bismillah, to say, I'm part of the solution. I'm not part of the problem. You know,
mashallah.
Oh, by the way, that go back to the 60s, Altaf. If you was hanging out in Huff, you would have heard that.
The rough tough Huff, brother. Been there, done that.
You part of the problem. Right now, we're in the Islamophobia section of this webinar. I'm going to ask that we go over time a little bit, so we can close this gap. Is that all right?
That is absolutely all right. You know, we can give you a few more minutes, and we actually still have another section coming up in right when you're done. So please go ahead, Imam Johari.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm one of the few people who I was with Larry King, and Larry King said, "Okay, well, thank you, Imam Johari." I was like, "Hold on, I just got like a couple more things to say," and people were like, "Wow." Larry King actually was like, "Okay, Johari, go ahead." So, alhamdulillah, right now, people who are thinking that somebody else is going to do it. My dear brother and teacher, Mahdi Bray, he said, you know, in this country, freedom ain't free. There is nothing free about freedom. There is a price for freedom. And if you want to be free in America, you have to fight for it. And we're not talking about going and roughing up somebody. We're talking about fighting with every statistical and strategic tool that we can muster. This work that's being done in schools, I don't know, because most of us are adults, the work that's being done, Altaf, you're a social worker. You worked with the issues around refugees.
Yes,
How
sir.
damaging is it to the mind of a young person to
Yes,
feel
sir.
that they're under assault by their identity and they're crying for someone to stand up and help them because they know they themselves can't beat the system. CAIR is beating the system and fighting for them every day, putting together protocols for schools to systematically be able to be allies against Islamophobia. We're talking about billions of dollars that are being spent over the last decade, right? That's $100 million multiplied by a decade of disinformation, right? That's with a B. That's
right.
the kind of money that's being spent against us. But alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is multiplying the little that we give, bi'idhnillah, to make it sufficient for our needs. Altaf, take it.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to add to that, Imam Johar, you know, again, in these last few minutes, and Sister Asma Rahman, mashallah, representing Midwest over out in Kansas, is telling us that there's another segment coming up. Now,
all right.
Missouri, sorry, that's the Kansas. Astaghfirullah. I'll take it back.
And actually, I do want to interrupt you really quickly, Dr. Altaf, because we actually have Brother Ibrahim, the director of the communications department, that is going to be joining us right now. We'd love for you to come back right after that and finish us off, inshallah. So if it's okay with you, we'd like to have you back on in a few minutes.
Yes.
I'm gonna make 3
We'll see you.
3 rakats, and I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay, sounds great, inshallah. All right, well, thank you so much to Dr. Altaf and Imam Johari. They're, eating their iftar, doing their prayers at the same time. SubhanAllah, they're just so committed, just like so many of the people that work for CAIR. And thank you all for actually still making their iftar right now. I'd like to cue on the next portion of our program. We're almost done. This is the last leg, inshallah. We have a video about the media, the CAIR in the media. And then after that, we're going to meet with some of the folks from our communications department and get to talk to them a little bit about what they do. So if you could cue on the next video, please, inshallah, the communications video.
CAIR is your voice in the local, national, and international media.
We have articulate spokespeople who can go in the media, and we're able to work with the hundreds and perhaps thousands of media outlets in the United States and around the world to bring the real message of Islam to the American public and the world public.
With Ahmed Mitchell, he's the director for the U.S. state of Georgia at the council.
The National Communications Director for the Council on American Islamic Relations. Ibrahim, thank you for coming in.
Joining us now is Mohammed Salim and his attorney, Gadir Abbas.
Frustrating whenever somebody uses the freedom of speech that's guaranteed by the Constitution to promote hatred and bigotry.
The United States Constitution and values. And I'm very humbled to see this show of solidarity with the American Muslim community.
You have to have an organization in place with individuals who are trained and capable to respond, and they have to be funded and supported before that event happens so that we can be response able. That is the work that we are doing, to make CAIR able to respond on the instant when you call or send an email or get a letter that frightens you, to know that CAIR is going to be ready, willing, and able to respond.
We envision America 20 years from now, where the American Muslim community have the rightful place at the political, social, and academic table, where Muslims will be celebrated, respected, and honored for their contributions.
CAIR is a great organization. I believe in CAIR, and there is no organization in America that I've given more money personally than CAIR. I always donate to CAIR because CAIR makes a difference. Please donate as much as you can. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Now I am so excited and honored to introduce my second and last set of guests for the evening, the OG, the original legend, the original giant, Midwesterner turned East Coaster, co-founder of CAIR, my colleague, Brother Ibrahim Hooper, and the amazingly multi-talented and calm in the eye of the storm, Ayan Ajeen. Brother Ibrahim, Ayan is our communications director. Ayan and Brother Ibrahim, how are you doing this evening?
Alhamdulillah.
How are you, Asma?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah. It's so nice to see you again. Obviously been seeing you throughout the day, but nice to see you at the other end of iftar. I don't think we've ever been on screen together this late in the evening.
Yeah, I've been eating in between segments here, hoping that I don't get caught with food in my mouth.
Well, we have a few minutes, so I wanted to, make sure that you were on and we got to hear from you because your work is so incredibly important. And that was a powerful video about all the amazing work that you all do. Can you share with our audience tonight just a quick overview about what a day in a communications staffer looks like? What do you do both from a bird's eye view and on a daily basis?
Well, one of the most important things we do on a daily basis is we try and be a voice for the mainstream American Muslim community. And to do that, we have to know what's going on. We have to monitor what's going on. We have to interject the American Muslim voice in issues of importance to all Americans. And it requires us to monitor all the various news sources that there are out there. We have databases and monitoring services, which, by the way, don't come cheap. So that's why we're having these telethons. For instance, if somebody says something against Islam in a small town in Kansas, we'll pick it up, inshallah, pretty quickly, and we can react to it in real time. We can, if it's a story that appeared on a local TV station in that area, our keyword search will pick it up. We'll be able to clip that segment. We'll be able to utilize it. We'll be able to respond to it within even minutes. This is something that's unheard of in the past, that we don't have that kind of on-the-ground intelligence about any potential Islamophobia or issues impacting American Muslims. And again, that's the kind of thing that doesn't come cheap. The databases, the monitoring services for these kinds of things cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And when we want to reach out to the tens of thousands of media professionals in the country, you need another expensive database to have access to all those media professionals. So that's why Imam Johari and Altaf and everybody is asking for this kind of support, because we'll do the work, but we need the support from the community. Alhamdulillah, it's always been there, and then alhamdulillah, and inshallah, it'll be there now and in the future.
So, Brother Ibrahim, you have decades of experience in making a huge difference for our community through your work.
Decades and decades.
So, can you share with us what are some of the most important cases that you've worked on over the years?
Well, a lot of people knew us from the early years, way back when we were doing challenges to Islamophobic films like True Lies and Executive Decision, and these kinds of films, when we challenged Steve Emerson and his Jihad in America, when he put that out, when we were on the ground in the backlash after Muslims were blamed for the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995, when the Nike shoe came out with the word resembling the Arabic word for Allah, all of these things, the uncounted hijab cases we've done over the years. We've always tried to create a synergistic effect between the communications and public relations and media outreach and civil rights, that one reinforces the other. But maybe Sister Ayan, she can fill in too. We don't want her left alone there on the kinds of things that we're seeing more. She's working more on social media and that kind of thing. So if you have...
I like to think of our department as like the link between all of the other departments that CAIR and the community. So like we really amplify all of the work that CAIR does. So I think like everyone's heard that phrase or the term that if a tree falls in the forest, but no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? We're there to make sure that people hear it, right? So we're amplifying, like you've been listening for the past few hours, all of the work that CAIR does, all of the people that we help. And we're there to make sure that that doesn't go unnoticed, that if there's something happening and we don't wait for the injustice to find us, we are very proactive about going and finding what's happening in the community to make sure that we're there to help.
Wow, that is such, that's so interesting, and you're sharing such powerful and important work that you're all doing. And so many people probably don't even realize how involved CAIR was in all of these, things that a lot of people did know about on the outside, and they didn't realize all the work that went into making those changes in the back end. So thank you so much for sharing. And, Ayan, you and Brother Ibrahim and your entire team, you're my colleagues. So I have the benefit of being able to see you all working day in and day out. I see you on email, text, WhatsApp, every hour of the day and night. And that is no exaggeration. Please share with us a little bit about the valuable and expensive monitoring of the media that you do. And we'd also love to hear about the extensive media database that you work from.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we have a number of databases. We have Cision, we have Meltwater, we have TVIs, all of these. If people are in the public relations business, they're familiar with these, and they don't come cheap. And just sending out a daily email, which, by the way, you go to CAIR.com and subscribe to the email list. You'll get this every day. We've been putting it out 5 days a week, sometimes more, for more than 25 years now. It's something that's just unheard of even in larger organizations. We put out more kinds of communications materials than organizations 10 times our size, alhamdulillah. So we do this by having the right resources available, and that's what we need your support for. It's not just the building to pay for, it's not salaries, it's all these other things that go along with it, the nuts and bolts that go into any communications campaigns. Like people in the past remember when we distributed materials to thousands of libraries around the country, when we distributed DVDs at that time and other materials about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he was under attack in the infamous Danish cartoon situation, when we did quarter-page ads on the editorial page of the New York Times, very expensive. All of these things, we need your support. We need you to go to the phone. We need you to go to your computer and go and donate. And inshallah, in these last 10 days of Ramadan, you'll have all your rewards multiplied for doing so.
We've also really adapted to the making sure that we are still that link no matter what's happening in society, right? So now with COVID, with the pandemic and quarantine, we've developed a 30-minute live series that is called The Daily Dose COVID Conversations with CAIR. And we air it live on our Facebook and YouTube, and we unpack a lot in that show, but we want to make sure that we're making sure that they're connected and that they're informed. So we always bring on spiritual leaders, healthcare professionals, counselors, experts, advocates, like people who will inform the community and make sure that even in this time with everyone being in their homes, that we're still there for them. We're still giving them the content that they want to see, that they need to hear. So if we have a moment, Asma, we have a clip with when we brought, say, Dr. Tamara Gray.
I think they're giving us a rap on the other end. I don't know.
Sure. Can we have the video and cue on the video, please? You know, it's such an interesting point that you brought up about, you know, juxtaposing where women have been praying in the masajid. This Ramadan, a lot of brothers are going to be able to feel what it feels like to not be able to go to the masjid or have, you know, this big, you know, congregation that you're a part of. So,
yeah, and I will say, I don't say this thinking, ha ha ha, you're going to feel this.
No, obviously not. Yes.
But I do want to say, I appeal to all of the brothers to take a moment in that pain. Take a moment and feel it in a different way. And just recognize, imagine that there are women, there are masajid in the world. In England, there are a lot of them, where I have known, and I have been personally a victim of this, where a woman has wanted to pray and been told you can't come in and pray in the parking lot.
Mm.
And these are stories we hear all the time. So just for a moment, I appeal to our brothers, and I don't appeal to them in any way out of sort of, not in bitterness or negativity, but just feel that moment so that when we can all come back together, you are the strongest allies to make sure that your daughters and your sisters and your wives and your mothers and your aunts and your coworkers and your colleagues are able to go into the masjid, see the architecture that you can see, experience the feeling of hearing the imam, knowing when to go down in ruku' and not feeling confused, knowing when to come up from sujood and not feeling lost, being able to hear the khutbah, being able to feel the feeling of the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, and to really gain that community that we are meant to gain from coming together in the masjid. So just for a moment, just sit in that place so that we will all together insist that all of our masajid become the masajid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
That was a beautiful clip, Ayan. It's one of my most memorable clips from all of the videos we've done. Say Tamara Gray always drops so many gems, and we were so honored and lucky to have her on the show. You've been doing so much amazing and hard work with these videos, Ayan. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing that.
Mention the CAIR newsroom.
Yeah, so we also started, since COVID and being in quarantine, we started an online information portal offering vital information on the COVID-19 pandemic and how it impacts American Muslims and society. So we have sections for community responses. What is the Muslim community doing in response to the pandemic? We have sections from the experts where we bring people to talk about the experts in their fields, medical professionals, attorneys, to talk about how, for example, like a contract, how it could be affected by the pandemic. So again, really trying to make sure the community is informed and connected.
Thank you so much tonight. So you both do such tremendous amounts of work for CAIR and for the community and humanity as a whole. So I thank you, and thank you for missing your iftar to be with us as well. Inshallah, have a wonderful. What was that?
I have my iftar here.
Oh, okay. Well, you're lucky. Jazakallah khairan and have a wonderful evening, inshallah.
Thank you, Asma.
Assalamu alaikum.
We'd like to bring Imam Johari and Dr. Altaf back on to say a few words to close off the evening and encourage us.
We're here. We're both here.
Give back to the
Here we
community,
are.
inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Imam Johari and Dr. Altaf. Welcome back. I
Wa alaikum
promised
salam.
that you'd come back, so thank you for coming. I'd like to give both of you 2 minutes each, inshallah, to share with us your final thoughts, inshallah.
So you know what I mean, Altaf, you get to go first, right?
Well, it looks like he's gone, so.
Alhamdulillah wa shukru lillah wa la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa lahu al-mulk wa lahu al-hamd wa yuhyi humid wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. We ask everyone really to pray with us that what we have done tonight, that Allah might multiply every small deed, every large deed, that Allah would multiply it to be sufficient for the needs of CAIR, but also to replace it, as Altaf was sharing, to replace it with something better, to replace it with something that will be sufficient for our needs in this life and in the hereafter. It goes without saying that I love CAIR. Many of us love CAIR. And I know that when my children, they say to me, Daddy, do you love me? I'm like, yes, honey, I love you. And they give a hug. When my wife says, honey, do you love me? That usually means something else. It means that there's something that she wants me to do. As-sadaqa burhan. If you really want to know where somebody's at, the evidence of where they are is how they spend their time and their money and their efforts. So tonight, I want us to really say, if you love CAIR and if you love freedom, if you love the ability to be able to do what in this country needs to be done, then we need you, alhamdulillah, in these last closing minutes to go pledge and donate now. I'm looking at my screen just to see if I have an update on the pledge numbers. And I know that we're going to have some closing remarks. But brothers and sisters, I remember when Nihad Awad and Ibrahim Hooper were broadcast live on network televisions all across the country after the tragedy in Oklahoma. And everybody was saying on the news prior to that it was two Arab-looking men who were seen driving away from this tragedy, that there were children in the daycare center whose lives had been taken in this act of terror. And then out of the trunk of their car, two men emerged, Ibrahim and Hooper and Nihad Awad, and they defended that day the Muslim community. They defended Islam, and they defended what it really meant to have responsible speech and not fake news. And for that, it turned the tide on the entire media apparatus. And it saved the lives, I'm sure, by Allah, of many, many people who would have been abused and attacked or discriminated against. But in that proactive press conference that they held, being professional and prepared to, with a press statement and the whole news and media savvy particularly that Ibrahim brought that day, it changed the outcome, the trajectory of Islam and Muslims in America. It took some bravery, it took a risk, but alhamdulillah, that risk that they took has paid off. We need you now to go and help pay the debt that we owe to CAIR, a debt probably none of us can contribute enough money to pay the true value of what Allah has blessed us with in the form of CAIR. So I ask you again, if you can donate $1,000, it's less than $100 a month. It will be $1,000 for the year. Or $500, it's less than $10 a week. And it will make the difference. Those action alerts that get sent out, they used to come out on a fax machine.
That's right.
And CAIR,
That's right.
CAIR transitions
That's right.
into electronic media. That, and by the way, and CAIR is not stingy. When the media now calls them to find out the real story, CAIR then will give them trusted voices in the community instead of that voice that you don't want people to be representing us. So now CAIR is in the business not just of responding to the news, but making and shaping the news that we hear. It is worthy, alhamdulillah, of our contribution. And so I'm not going to press Altaf to say, Altaf, we should increase our pledge. But anyway, I think we should think about it, Altaf. But ask others who may have not to go to their computer or their phone to help us close the gap. We're very close. I see 130,000. It's probably more like 100, and got to be at least 135. Let's see if we can get an update before we go. Altaf, I'm going to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Imam Johari. And
may Allah continue to bless you.
Thank you so much. And you know, as you said earlier, you know, we've literally lived through the transition for CAIR. And one of the things I'm always amazed about is the consistency with which CAIR has represented the community. And you didn't use the word, but I'll use it. And it's basically cringeworthy. Like when some people get on the media and they get in front of a microphone, I can tell you without a doubt, anytime I see a CAIR representative, national office or chapter office, I can be comfortable to know that they prepare talking points. They're going to stay focused on the issue, and they're not going to, you know, do any damage, any further damage to the representation of Muslims. So, brothers and sisters, if you're watching us right now, and even if you took a break from East Coast, had your iftar, or you're in the Midwest and waiting for iftar, or in the West Coast, however you do it, we need you to think about supporting CAIR and do it with intentionality. Do it so you say, you know what, I'm hoping that it's my dollars that go to the most vulnerable, you know, the cases with the people who are the most vulnerable. Make that intention and say, well, Allah, help that dollar to get there. Why? Because the clients are never going to be charged. Those people who are discriminated against, they do not get charged. CAIR manages all of those resources through our generosity. So go to the website, cair.com/donate. Go to text 41444 and use my rights as the keyword there, and then put your name and your pledge, inshallah, and you'll get it there. And of course, you can also use texting 202-646-6045. Remember, we have absolutely no idea in terms of the coming months what all is going to happen, but we are certain that CAIR is going to be there. CAIR has been there for us, and Imam Johari is right. I grew up watching those faxes come through, and man, those good news alerts, Allahu Akbar, when those things came through, but we also knew there's some bad news alerts, but we relied on them. And so now today, mashallah tabarakallah, CAIR has pivoted in the pandemic to have live programming, mashallah tabarakallah, and some of that you saw with the earlier snippets of videos. So brothers and sisters, we're not going to keep you too much longer. We know that you have a lot going on, but please do make an intention to donate and make the pledge. Text and let them know if you don't want to do it tonight. Say you can charge it tomorrow night for the 27th night. However you want to do it, just get it done, inshallah. Back over to Imam Johari or Sister Asma, inshallah.
That's Mark.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Altaf and Imam Johari, again, for spending these, like last few nights, precious moments with us with CAIR, that clearly shows how much you care about, the organization, but as well as the community. Jazakallah khairan for all of your time and all of your efforts. To close out the evening, we have some very, very special people, amazing supporters out there, inshallah. Let's bring back our executive director, Brother Nihad Awad, and our deputy director, Brother Edward Mitchell, to close out the evening, inshallah. Actually, it seems like it's just Brother Edward Mitchell that's on for right now. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Edward.
Rahmatullah barakatuh. Asma, you've done a great job. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for serving as a host this evening. Mashallah, great job.
Look who's talking. I mean, you put this whole thing together and you hosted, and I want to tell the audience that Brother Edward has been doing so much behind the scenes. Without him, this would not have been possible. So Jazakallahu khairan, Brother Edward, for all of your efforts.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah accept any good, forgive any bad. Alhamdulillah. So look, it's 9:32. Alhamdulillah, we wanted to do this 6 to 9, but alhamdulillah, we had such great content, so many great people who wanted to come on to share their experience with CAIR, and we really appreciate everyone from Altaf and Johari, Abrar, all of our department heads, Robert, Gadir, Zaina, Lena, Danette. Thank you, Abbas, Ibrahim, Ayan. Thank you to everyone who contributed to the program. Thank you to everyone who spoke tonight. A special thank you to all the guests who came on, the people who have worked with CAIR for so many years. May Allah reward all of you. And finally, a big thank you to everyone who donated this evening. Alhamdulillah, we got very close to our goal. We're going to replay this program on Tuesday night, inshallah. So if you're watching it Tuesday night, please donate. Help us to hit that goal of $150,000, which will, inshallah, help CAIR continue to serve, protect, and empower the community for much longer to come. And alhamdulillah, we've got Brother Nihad here, who we will let close us out with his final remarks and closing dua, please, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Asma. Thank you to all our guests. May Allah bless you for staying with us, for your generosity, for supporting CAIR. And let me just conclude by saying this. As you are watching a historic evening, a historic event. I would like you to save this program and show it with your children and your friends. Share the link because it is important for them to know the history of Islam, the history of the development of organization and the infrastructure for work in the United States. So as we move forward, I would like you to remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. من فرج كربة عن مؤمن في الدنيا فرج الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. He who eases a difficulty for a believer in this life, Allah will ease one of his difficulties in the hereafter. And today, every day, CAIR eases the difficulties of people in their lives, in the workplace, in the school. How much Islam is dear to you? It is so much, and that's why CAIR helps you to hold dear onto this faith. So help us close the gap, because what we are raising today is only a minor fraction of our annual budget to defend, protect the Muslim community and Islam, and to inform the public about what Islam is and who American Muslims are. So visit the website www.cair.com/donate and give what you can, one time or on monthly basis. And also there is a planned giving. May Allah give you a long time to live, but also we plan for the life after. Go there to the website and leave a legacy for the Muslim community through the work of CAIR. And finally, we wanted to be respectful of the Laylatul Qadr, the night of 27th. We did not want to encourage on you tomorrow, and that's why we've done it today, this evening. So as you plan to give tomorrow and support, think of the organization. We were mindful of your time and privacy to do your worship without being on social media. So take that to heart and do what you can to help CAIR, because you help your children and you help, inshallah, the future Muslims the future of Islam and Muslims in this country. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your siyam, your qiyam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your sadaqah, your zakah, and everything you do for your life, for the other people around you in your neighborhoods. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect CAIR's team, CAIR's leaders on the national level, on the ground, all the volunteers, the supporters, and donors. جزاكم الله خير. With that, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Yeah, end it, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Brother Nihad, for wrapping us up with that beautiful dua. Please support CAIR. Please make sure that you have a safe and successful end of Ramadan, inshallah. And we hope to see you all very soon in safer and better circumstances, inshallah. May Allah grant relief to all humanity, and may Allah grant all of us continued success. Assalamu alaikum.